This is episode 31 of the Penny Bloom podcast. 31 of them.
Hey, season 2, we in there.
Season 2, episode 2, episode 31, season 2.
Yeah, we in there.
We in there. Now, I know what you're thinking. Wow. Colton and Tavares sound crystal fucking clear.
What can I say?
Well, here, the day we are recording is December 25th. It is Christmas. Hope everybody had a Merry Christmas. And this morning, Santa brought me a second microphone.
Yo, Santa's coming in clutch all around this year.
All around. Dude, I love having a second microphone.
Yo, we just had to make it happen. As soon as this, having two microphones, we were like, all right, fuck it. Like
we gonna grind.
We're gonna grind.
We gonna grind.
It's that time of the year.
It is that time.
Tis the season.
Tis the season to be fucking jolly.
Yeah. You know, it's always weird the week after Christmas, but the week between Christmas and New Year's.
It's a weird week.
Because I feel like the year's over.
It's fundamentally a week in which time doesn't exist.
Yeah, exactly.
It's nothing counts during this next week. It's just kind of there.
It's weird.
Right? Like, do you have a single memory between from the 26th to the 30th?
Waiting on New Year's.
Exactly.
That's about it.
I can't think of a single time I did anything.
Oh, actually, I do have memories from New Year's Eve. That's it.
Of course.
You just remember that because then you're like, all right, now life is beginning again, right?
The cycle of time is so weird, dude.
Time is so weird, especially how it is
when we start a new year. Less so this year than in past years. I usually feel like this immense pressure.
Oh yeah.
Like, yo, we are about to start this is a whole new year. Like, nobody has ever experienced what is about to happen.
Exactly.
I mean, and that's just how time works.
Yeah.
I mean, that's just simply how time works.
That's the thing you realize, right? It's just like, wait, why the fuck do we give a fuck when it turns January 1st? It's just another fucking day. That's it. And it's like, once you realize that, and you treat it like if you wake up in 2 months from now and be like, tomorrow is a new day, with the same passion that you said tomorrow is gonna be a new year, think about how productive you'd be.
Yo, and people were like, we leaving all this da shit in 2019. We ain't taking it to 2020. Right. Man,
there's
fuck all that. Stop it now.
Yeah, exactly.
Stop it now.
You're just leaving all the. So you're saying it's okay until 2020, right? Basically.
Yo, we gonna be doing this shit till December 31st, 11:59. I swear to God, though, that clock hit midnight.
Hey, you can't say off the lean, off the drugs, all 2020, and do it 2019 because you're still gonna die. Yeah, but you gotta give yourself that little extra time.
Okay,
no, that's fair enough. You gotta be like, all right, I'm gonna go sober. Then,
realistically,
until
I'll do
then,
this
I'm gonna get mega fucked up.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Anyway,
getting mega fucked up.
Mega fucked up.
Yeah.
That's what New Year's all about, though. For real though. I know it's the beginning of a new year, and that's supposed to signify a new beginning type thing. But we'll find any reason to fucking party.
Why? I've always wondered. I'm like, okay, I get it, celebration, but why is New Year's known as the party holiday?
Yo, you go crazy on New Year's. People do it up
so
on New Year's.
Let's think about it. New Year's.
St. Patty's.
St. Patty's
is a big one. Why?
Why?
I mean, Irish, you drink.
Yeah.
That's just a fucking excuse.
Halloween,
bro.
It's like once you grow up, the holiday becomes something else entirely.
Yeah, Halloween as a kid is all about candy. Halloween when you're older is all about candy drinks.
Yeah, basically. It's like we take these things from our lives that we want. We just want to be no, this day every year we're gonna go fucking crazy and party.
And see, and that is kind of a good thing too, in my.
That is.
I mean, and nothing about it is bad. Mm-hmm. I'm simply asking why.
We're just exploring the nature of
something. The nature of humans is so fucking weird.
It's weird.
It's so weird.
And it's I don't know what to do about it. There's nothing to do about it. But it's just, you gotta recognize that it's
strange sometimes. It's strange out here.
Strange.
We'll find any reason to party.
Have you?
And I love that. That means we are actively looking for things to get away. Like, I mean, that's a bad thing. Like,
no, but that's 100% the fact of life.
People need escapes. Everybody needs an escape.
When you think, like, have you ever thought about how, like, we think of alcoholism, like, in terms of, like, seeing your parents drink, right? Like, your mom might have a glass of wine at dinner. Your dad will have a beer when he comes home from work.
For sure.
Like, these are regular things. Like, these aren't, like, you grow up knowing that, they just sip a little alcohol
They have some alcohol.
You know, you can't have any alcohol, but you know they can. So it's like, why are they having it? Well, it gets you drunk. Okay. So they don't get super drunk. They just get a little buzzed. But why do your parents feel the need
to get a little
buzzed?
And it's because of you.
Yeah, exactly.
It is because fundamentally any reason a parent is stressed out is because of their kid, and it's not. It's not a bad thing. That's a fact of life. Like, kids stress parents the fuck out.
Right.
That's how it is supposed to be. Now,
so
the way the parent handles it,
that's true.
That's what matters. A parent is always going to be stressed by the kid. It's a matter of how the parent handles that stress.
That exactly.
Having a glass of wine.
It's a great way.
Having a beer. Yeah. That's one little, like, a little thing that you get. Like, that is yours, you know? My kid can't take this fucking wine from me.
But then that makes me wonder why we have such a stigma associated to this term drug. And it's like,
drunk?
Don't do drugs.
Oh, drug.
Yeah, don't do... I'm going to consider alcohol. It is a drug.
Alcohol is a drug.
We just don't consider
fundamentally
it that way,
more dangerous than a lot of drugs.
Right. Scientifically, everyone knows that alcohol is a drug. We just don't consider it that way because we have stigmatized the word drug. But it's like, we even respect when the highest respected members of our society sit down, have a beer or a glass of wine, partake in drugs to receive... to experience some sort of release from... what is normal reality? Well, like, I mean, what if you did a bump of cocaine? What if you stopped though? Like, you weren't addicted or anything. You
like what if that was the thing? Like, what if when you were little, you came home, you watched mommy do a line of coke, and then you were like, I can't do that yet.
Like, can't do that yet. Yeah, right. But she's like, hey, like, be careful. Like, you know, like, there's rules to this shit. There's boundaries you got to follow. But like, I like the occasional line.
And then, and that's like that's what feeds into the that's what feeds into the argument that not only should weed be legal, but the majority of drugs should be legal.
Exactly.
Because, and I don't necessarily agree with it at all, really. I think some drugs are definitely rightfully illegal.
That's fair.
But like with alcohol can be one of the most dangerous substances you can put in your body.
Exactly.
But it has regulations. It's been destigmatized. People know how to deal with alcohol.
Right.
So, yes, people like, and we're talking a lot about cocaine, but I'm going to keep using cocaine.
No,
like,
it's a good one.
People do overdose on cocaine, takes a lot of cocaine, but people do overdose on cocaine. What makes it fundamentally that much different than alcohol if we were to legalize it, put regulations on it, and destigmatize it?
It almost seems to me that the fact that there is the lack of regulations gives more ability for people to abuse these drugs, because it's like there's no, like, when you approach alcohol, like, you know, like, okay, like, I'm only gonna drink a certain amount, otherwise I'll be figgity fucked up.
Figgity. Boy, you got me fucked up.
And it's like we have massive alcohol corporation that measures very specifically how much alcohol is in each drink. You can have your pick. You can get whatever. You can get liquor. You can get beer. You can get mixed drinks. You can get anything. All these variations of alcohol to drink to, like, measure how much you're actually putting in your body. But with drugs that are outlawed, like, when people do get their hands on them, they're just going straight for it. Like,
exactly.
And that's how I feel like you develop a sort of addiction, some sort of fantasization with this substance, because, like, it's something that you can't have. It's something that you've never had, and it's not something that, like, there's much benefit in gauging, like, or, like, being careful with it. Like, you're just kind of like, it's drugs. I'm gonna do drugs. I want to do drugs. I got to get illegal drugs.
I want to know your thoughts on this. I've heard, and I've thought myself, that even if we were to legalize X amount of drugs, like a bunch of, like, acid, shrooms, fucking coke, probably not meth or heroin. I won't go that far.
Yeah.
But But if like we were to legalize these things, do you think part of the rush people get from doing them is the fact that they're illegal?
100%.
So do you think that even if we legalize these drugs, they just go on to harder shit?
That's an interesting question.
And obviously there will be people like that. But do you think fundamentally that is why people who are in illegal, like people in states where marijuana is illegal, do you think a large percentage of our brain, the reason people smoke weed in illegal states is because it's illegal? Like part of that, I mean, like no matter who you are, that's exciting. Yeah. Like you are breaking the law. Yeah. There's a little bit of a There's a dopamine rush there.
And it's like you want to know, like you're curious, like why did they make it illegal?
Like what do they not want me to know?
Right. But it's like no, I definitely think it would. I guess a downside to legalizing all these drugs is you definitely would make it easier to work that stepping ladder up the cycle.
And if we do legalize all these drugs, marijuana for real becomes the gateway drug.
It does, but no, it does. But it's already every drug is already a gateway drug.
And I absolutely agree. But like the way I'm saying is like weed is. If we legalized all the drugs, weed would be the starting point, right?
It needs to be. I don't see what else would be. Yeah.
So if we legalized weed, and then we legalized all these other things, the first thing people will try when they get of age is probably that weed. And then when they're like, shit, there's other stuff that can give me a stronger high, they'll go on to this other stuff that's also legal, and they'll go up to the higher stuff that's also legal, and they'll just keep going up.
Yeah, no. And I mean, I think the only thing that safeguards against that is just...
regulations?
Not even just regulations. Regulations would help because it would give... it would create safer ways of consuming those drugs because they'd have to meet FDA regulations such and such. Like they'd have to somehow ensure that like whatever drugs they did legalize were which means they probably wouldn't legalize crack cocaine. I can't see that. But like acid, shrooms, weed, those are all completely 100% chemically pure drugs that don't harm you in small quantities at any level. So it's like with those you would 100% be getting the safest versions of those because you can get bad acid, you can get laced shrooms, you can get laced weed.
And like that's what legalizing it would take away from. Is like you can get the purest form of whatever you're trying to get because it's legal.
And it also makes it more expensive when you regulate it, which could be good too because it means that if you're broke, you can't get drugs.
That's a really
good point. Like I mean I don't know, it's just my perspective. If you're not doing well in money, probably just shouldn't be buying drugs.
Oh, absolutely not. Like, and that's now we're feeding into like what our society technically is. Like people who are put in a poor position or not necessarily put in a poor position, but have either found themselves in a poor position or are put in a poor position. They can turn to these things. And then just keep dwindling.
Yep.
So there are, and like I guess the moral of the story is that there's risks and there's reward. Like
there's risks and there's reward. You got to measure it, and that's always been like the number one thing I feel like with drugs in general is just like I've never been anti-drug, really on anything except like super hard stuff. But it's like if you're gonna do it, be smart about it.
Be smart.
So
it's like it's like what your parents say. It's like we don't want you to do this. We don't necessarily support you doing it. But if you do it, don't be an idiot.
Don't be an idiot.
Don't be fucking stupid.
That's all you got to do. It's pretty simple. We got Google. Like look some shit up.
Look some shit up, bro. Read a book.
And like honestly, you learn a lot because like there are times where like I'll tell people of something that I've done and they're like, "What the fuck?" And then like I'll explain to them the science behind it, and then
they'll be like, "Oh, okay,
yeah." Like, and it's like, no, I mean, I understand. Like like I don't understand like as much
everything
as some scientists would or somewhere, but like I understand.
I don't understand what it's doing on a molecular level
happening.
Or anything.
Like I read that and I was like, I think I'm pretty okay with that happening to me. Drugs, man.
Drugs. All right, well, this episode is going to have nothing to do with everything we just talked about. But if you enjoyed it, glad you did. We're going to be talking about the best movies of 2019, as this last Monday was the best music of 2019. And mainly what we're going to do is just talk about our favorite movies, overall what we believed were the best movies of the year. We're not going to do any ranking sort of systems. We're just going to dive right in, have some fun. We're also going to tell you who we think were the best actors and actresses this year. Like, who had the best years, you know? You know?
Yeah, I know. Yeah. I was actually just admiring your hat over here.
That's actually my little brother's hat, and I'm absolutely going to steal it from him.
Oh, did somebody draw? Is this?
No, that's the design of the hat.
Oh, okay.
For those who can't see, which is all of you, it is a Lakers hat with a lot of like doodles on it, and I really fucking like it because I like the Lakers a lot. I like LeBron a lot.
It's the GOAT. It's the GOAT.
It's the GOAT.
Yeah, I don't know.
And more on that later. Not today. Some other day.
Some other.
We're going to talk about movies today. Let's have some fun. Let's get it.
You have now entered the Penny Bloom Podcast. Hosted by none other than Colton Robinson and Tavares Pennington. I hope you are prepared for a show unlike any that you've ever seen before. Or heard, I guess it's a podcast. So you aren't going to see anything.
We are here talking about the best movies of 2019.
The movies.
Dem films.
It's been a pretty good year, honestly. Like,
oh, absolutely. And like we were just saying, there's not really off years for movies.
Movies
are typically...
so much money goes into them. Like,
there's always going to be good
There
movies.
are movies that are too big to fail or think they're too big to fail. And when they do, like, we hear about it.
And it's very satisfying most of the time.
It's honestly, because it's just kind of like these fucking idiots knew that. Like
they,
what were they
like they
doing?
thought they could do this.
Yeah. No, and a great example of movies being too big to fail is the Sonic movie. Because, as they released the first art for that, and then fans were like, yo, what the fuck?
Yo, you know what was a good example of just pure hubris by studio heads?
What?
Fucking Cats.
Oh, shit.
Why is that movie a thing?
It's got a fucking phenomenal cast, and
there's a lot of really talented people in it.
Mm-hmm.
They had to have respected this idea and appreciated it in some way.
Right?
And I'm assuming the story's good.
Yeah.
I mean, it's based off Cats, which is a pretty well-renowned musical, which you can't deny the story of a very well-renowned musical. The story's fine.
Yeah.
But it's a horror movie. The shit's terrifying. It's terrifying to look at.
I don't know, like, why... where do these ideas come from? That's what I'm trying to figure out. Who's sitting in a room
There's only
like...
one thing about this. One thing about this bothers me over all the other things about Cats.
What's that?
It's that Idris Elba agreed to be in it.
Idris Elba, honestly, he's been in a lot of things, and things that I think he should probably not have been in.
And the thing is, though, like, pretty consistently, Idris Elba's a good actor.
Oh, yeah, no.
And I haven't seen Cats. I have no interest in seeing it, but I'm sure his performance in that is astounding.
I have no interest in seeing it.
I'm sure the performances in it are wonderful.
Yeah.
But visually, there's nothing that can motivate me to go see that.
Oh, yeah.
Other than the fact, like, I want to see how bad this is.
Yeah, and sometimes you just go watch movies because of that, because you're just like...
I have to see
I have to watch this shit show because it's going to be entertaining. It's like, there's a spectrum. You can have far to the right end, you got good entertainment, shit that you're just interested in, that's entertaining. And then you got shit that's just so awful that
you're
it's still entertaining.
Huh. Like, the movies that are so bad that they're good.
Yeah.
There's this movie that I watch that's called Behaving Badly.
Uh-huh.
It's got like a Nat Wolff, Selena Gomez, a few other actors and actresses in it that are like not huge, but they're good actors and actresses. And it's not a terrible movie or anything. It's an hour and a half movie that feels like fucking 3 hours. This movie takes forever.
Oh my god. I've never experienced that.
It is a super short movie.
Damn.
That feels like it takes forever.
Yeah.
And what's confusing about it is there's shit going on.
Uh-huh.
It's not very, like, it's an entertaining movie.
Yeah.
I haven't watched it in a while. It's an entertaining movie.
You said Selena Gomez is in it?
Yeah.
Okay.
And the story is just like, what? Like, what's going on here?
The fuck?
This can't be a real thing.
Yeah, no, and that happens. Like, my movie like that is probably I'm Number 4. Did you ever watch I'm Number 4?
I did. But I feel like I remember liking that movie.
No, I love it. It's one of my favorite movies. It got terrible reviews, and if you've read the I'm Number 4 books or that book series, which is hands down my favorite young adult series that I've ever read, oh my god, it's like 10% of the book. It's so bad
in comparison to the book?
Yeah, in comparison to the book, but not only in comparison to the book. If you take a step back and just watch that movie, it's not really well done
good.
Because they rely on the book as well in the movie, but they never explain parts of it.
Why the book is important.
There are things that the main character John can do in the book that he does in the movie, but they never explain how he can do it in the movie. He can just do it, and you won't know it unless you've read the books. And so that makes there to be, like, once you read the books, you realize all the plot holes. And that movie got terrible critical reviews. Like, it was not good at all. But it's like I kind of enjoy watching it, even though like I've read the books, I know where the actual shit is. But it's like that was so bad that I'm just still kind of like, nah, it's still entertaining, I guess.
I just wish I was present for the meeting in which a studio had approved $95 million going towards making Cats. The opening weekend, it made $6 million. It's one of the biggest. It's one of the biggest financial failures of the last 10 years in terms of cinema.
Oh my god! Do you know what the other movies on that list are?
I don't know, but I'd have to look into it.
That is wild. $6 million.
Yeah.
Like, wow. That's basically like the people who they knew were gonna watch. Like, like your family, you're gonna go watch my movie, right? Like, that's basically just like them. Everyone who made the movie, their extended family.
Like, those ticket sales were from the premiere.
Yeah.
Like the Hollywood premiere.
Exactly. Yeah, where they force people to overpay and shit.
But moving away from the shitty movies, what were some of your favorites this year?
For me, I think Joker takes the cake. Like,
Joker was too fucking good, dude.
Joker was just so good. The first time I watched that, this is the only movie on this list that I've seen twice. And I'm gonna probably watch. I'm definitely gonna watch more of these.
Oh, for sure. Like,
again, but
yeah,
Joker just off first watch, I was just hands down amazed and shocked.
I mean, Todd Phillips and Joaquin Phoenix killed this shit.
No,
this
crazy.
was. I mean, visually beautiful.
Mm-hmm.
The story super compelling.
Right. And I really wanted to watch it just because it's not... When was the last time we got a movie...
About a villain.
About a villain. But where the protagonist was someone like the Joker. Like, that's like getting a movie based around Lex Luthor. That's like getting a movie based around... I don't know. Just think of like the biggest villains.
The big bats.
Not only did they take a villain, but they took one of the most
villain,
historic
the core
villains
villain
to exist ever, and did a movie about him. And I'm like, I'm interested, and I'm not even interested in scary. Like, that movie was gory as fuck. Like, it was.
Oh yeah, and like, if they would have framed that as a horror movie, I think they could have put out the same exact movie.
Right. And it's like, I'm usually not into movies that are like kind of dark like that. Like, I'm definitely into darker sorts of music, but not really movies. Like, I like watching shit. Like,
that's fun to watch.
Beautiful Day in the Neighborhood. Like, when we
that
watched
movie
that
was
shit,
great.
Yo, I still think about that shit on the daily. Like,
every day I think about, like, I'll be scrolling through my Twitter and I'll like a tweet, then I'll look at it again and be like, that was mean, and I'll unlike the tweet.
Yes. And then I'll do things, and I'm like, should I do, like, when you're deciding whether or not you should do this good action, and like, there's times where I'll just like think about it, and I'm like, no, I mean, I'm doing this for someone, every life is precious, like,
bro, I think for anyone who's confused, we are talking about A Beautiful Day in the Neighborhood, the movie about Mr. Rogers, which Tom Hanks played Mr. Rogers.
Yeah,
that movie was so fucking good. I mean, like, it was simple, straightforward, and it was just about being a better human. Everybody should see this movie.
Exactly. And
because I think I was already a pretty good person.
Yeah.
I think I learned more from this movie.
Right.
And like am actually actively motivated by this movie to be a better person.
No, exactly. And like, though I haven't heard anybody talk about this movie the way that I've heard other people. Like, and I'm not saying like this to say like this movie was like, it honestly, like, I mean, it was a good movie for sure. It was a cinematically good movie, but like it's not gonna. I don't know if it'll win too many awards. Or anything.
And like that's the thing. It's also rated PG.
Yeah,
it's a movie for everybody, and typically those movies aren't critically acclaimed.
Right.
But like this is one of those that I could see getting critical acclaim anyway.
It should. But like the first time I heard about this was like my debate partner or Kenton. You all know Kenton. He told me, he was like, oh yeah, like I saw that movie with my family, it was actually really good, and I was like, it doesn't seem like the type of movie Kenton would like.
Not
and
at
just
all.
like he's just like no bro, like that movie is like deep, like it gets on some shit, and I'm like really, like Mr. Rogers, like are you sure? And he's like, bro, like watch that shit. And I watched it and I was like, holy fuck. So
it really does.
I start telling people about it, and I've had multiple people hit me up like, yo, I finally saw that Mr. Rogers movie, and like that shit just like fucking hit me, and I'm like,
yo, and it really does. Like I remember a couple moments in that movie where I was straight up moved to tears, and like and it was just because of sheer generosity and niceness.
Yeah, well, like, honestly, the moments that I realized were most emotional for me were the ones that you could just straight up identify with. Because, like, when the dude would do things, then Mr. Rogers would break down. Like, there's this guy that, this writer who was writing about Mr. Rogers who had some things going on in his life that caused him to be kind of this, like...
asshole.
And Mr. Rogers takes this super creative approach to getting to this dude and showing him about like what it means to treat people as individuals and as precious people.
And what's crazy is like that dude is mostly a normal dude.
Yeah, no, he was.
Like a lot of people are like that.
And that's why I think this movie was so impactful, because there are moments where I'm watching and I'm like,
I am that guy. Like I have been that guy.
Yeah, exactly. Like, and it, like he'll explain his thought process, and I'm like, damn, that's exactly why. Like, that's the reasoning that I used to justify why I did what I did.
Exactly. And then he's like, well, no, but you got to look at it like this. And he's like, and I'm just, and now every single move I make throughout the day, I'm like, can I make someone else's day better by doing this?
Right.
So, like, I've caught myself numerous times since I've watched that movie. I'm pretty cheap. Mm-hmm. I do not like paying for things that I don't have to pay for.
Yeah.
I found myself paying for anybody who's around me.
Oh, shit.
Like,
really?
if I'm with a friend and we're, like, going to get food, if we're going to do something, and they like, say that they had like a rough day or something, or they just have a complaint, complaint, I don't give a shit. If like we are somewhere, you want that, cool, let's get it.
Yeah it's that simple.
It's that simple. And like it doesn't hurt me at all. Like, I'm out $9. Well, the world kept spinning. I'm fine.
Yeah, exactly. And it's like you're really teaching like where the values are in that movie, and it's like it does a great job of doing it. Like, if you watch that movie and walk away not learning something about what it means to be a better human, then you just tuned out, like, straight up. Like,
I mean, that moment in the movie where he tells him to be quiet, and the movie gets completely silent, and Mr. Rogers looks directly at the camera. Bro, I was chilled. Like, I got chills talking about it right now. Yeah. Like, I teared up in that moment. Like, he did too. Yeah. Like, that was the point of that moment, was to make you feel fucking everything.
Exactly. And it was like,
and it was perfect.
It was perfect. Like, it was literally
like, I've got goosies talking about the shit right now.
And Tom Hanks might as well have been Mr. Rogers.
Oh my god, that he sold the role so good. He sold it
so much. And like there will be, when I bet you when I show my kids this movie, they're gonna be like, is that Mr. Rogers? And I'm gonna be like,
nah, I mean, might as well be though.
Yeah, close but not quite.
Yeah, Tom Hanks, I mean, he's a saint.
Is a G2. Like,
he
is
a saint
person for this. Like, when I heard it was gonna be Tom Hanks and Mr. Rogers, I was like, wait, like, is there anybody else who would have done it? Because I don't know anyone else who can stand up to this role.
1/3 of the Holy Trinity, Tom Hanks.
1/3 of the Holy Trinity.
Tom Hanks, Keanu Reeves, Paul Rudd. That's my Holy Trinity.
Paul Rudd. Okay.
It's the white men.
Okay. I think
the white men.
I think I'd throw Sam Jackson in there.
Oh, I'm just talking white men.
Okay.
Like, these are the whites we trust.
the whole Holy Trinity of what? That's a tweet.
The Holy Trinity of the whites.
Remember this part in our conversation. There's a tweet in there.
I'm pretty sure I did see that tweet.
Oh, really?
I'm pretty sure that's where I got it.
Okay.
But because it was when Jeff Goldblum was going through all that shit after he said that he believes in our court of justice, where he was basically like, well, he didn't say that. I'm oversimplifying it like crazy. He said he believes that Woody Allen should be perceived as innocent until proven guilty, not guilty until proven innocent, like our culture is so quick to do nowadays.
Yeah.
And I mean, Woody Allen's pretty well on record as being kind of guilty. So, like, when he said that, we were all like, Jeff. So, like,
honestly, I feel like the prove your innocence route might be better.
Oh, it absolutely is.
Yeah.
Like, I feel like I'm more motivated to prove my innocence if you all view me as guilty.
Right. Well, and it's like you had to be accused by someone for some reason. So, you know.
But yeah, so it was like since Jeff Goldblum's getting canceled, Paul Rudd is getting promoted to the Holy Trinity. So it was like it was like Tom Hanks, Keanu Reeves, Jeff Goldblum at first, which I fucking love Jeff Goldblum. I still love Jeff Goldblum.
I was gonna say I fuck with Jeff Goldblum.
I fuck with him so heavy, but then someone was like, "Well, we're replacing him with Paul Rudd."
We're replacing him. Paul Rudd's good.
Paul Rudd's a solid
honestly,
dude.
Maybe another. He hasn't been famous super long. Maybe another 5 years.
Dude, Paul Rudd's been famous a long time.
Really?
That man's first movie was in the late 90s.
For real?
I think he was in Clue. Or Clueless.
Yo. Oh, okay. I don't think I ever saw Clueless. I've seen Clue.
I'm trying to figure it out. I can't remember which movie it is.
That's wild, though.
Clueless, 1995.
Damn.
Paul Rudd is the main male protagonist.
What's that? Have you seen that movie?
Clueless?
Yeah.
It's a pretty cheesy mid-90s kind of romantic comedy.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
That's where most people get their start.
But it's like a... Ah, shit. I can't remember what I was going to say. Never mind. Fuck it. It's a rom-com.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Paul Rudd in rom-com. Is it? Yeah, I guess that makes sense.
I mean, yeah, he can...
Paul
Rudd plays the same guy.
He pulls off the average white guy who's also kind of funny, which is perfect for rom-com.
Paul Rudd? Yeah, like, it's just... I mean, I identify a lot with Paul Rudd because he's just an average white guy. Like, it makes him relatable. Like, it's just
You're
it's
just like,
the way
I see
he
that,
is.
and I'm like, hey.
Paul Rudd. Paul Rudd, you made it. Why can't I?
Why can't I? There you go.
But, yeah, A Beautiful Day in the Neighborhood.
Yeah.
Very, very good movie. Very good movie. But back to the Joker.
Back to the Joker. Anyways, that movie died.
Wow, that
like
that rabbit hole had a sub-rabbit hole.
No.
We started with the Joker, went on A Beautiful Day in the Neighborhood rabbit hole, which led us to a Paul Rudd rabbit hole.
But I'm just interested in why we started with the Joker. And then our first transition was to A Beautiful Day.
Couldn't be more different.
Couldn't be more different. No. But anyways, the Joker was just the for being a superhero fan or a comic book fan in general, this movie is utterly satisfying. Because
it's the best.
Even like the moment, and this honestly is probably my favorite moment of cinema this entire year, was the moment where Joker it's like the last 5 minutes and he's getting taken. He's on top of the cop car.
On top of the
with the blood, and I was just like the way that they shot that and the way that they like revolve around Joker while like elevating
showing
the
everything,
camera, and like showing the suit and showing just like the vest,
his glory, like this is the Joker,
and like, I was like, yo, like this movie has been a continuation or a transformation of this character,
Arthur Fleck
into the Joker, who is not Arthur Fleck is not the Joker. Like I feel like the movie made that very clear.
Like these are this man is fundamentally a completely different person.
And the purpose of this movie, in a lot of ways, and we've talked about this plenty on we did a segment about Joker. But the idea is that he wasn't made this way by his solely by his own doing. There were pressures which pushed him in this direction, and the movie was
and real life factors. These are real things that I mean, he couldn't get disability checks, could he? Like exactly. that was one thing that
his therapist didn't give a fuck about him.
Exactly.
And it was like watching the examination of these forces that kind of push someone in the direction that leads them to what Arthur Fleck became is just interesting to me, because it's like there's a lesson in there for everyone who just like A Beautiful Day in the Neighborhood. Like if you walk away from the Joker, and like this is actually a kind of a hot button topic, but to me, if you walk away from the Joker without having learned something, then you didn't critically watch that film, because you were taking this character who we all know is
evil,
and you're saying, oh, because we understand his story now, we have to like him. That's
not true. That's not at all true.
It's because you understand it, you understand him better. So like, why is he so evil?
Yeah, it doesn't mean you appreciate him.
Yeah, exactly.
You understand.
Yeah.
You don't appreciate.
And it's like the end of understanding is to learn shit, and that's what this movie was coming to an understanding, was coming to learn how the Joker became the Joker, and I just like those sorts of stories, like anywhere, like in anything.
My favorite little thing about the Joker is that he carried around that card.
Yeah.
Which was like a calling to the other Jokers, how his calling card was literally a playing card.
Yeah, yeah.
I fucking loved that.
Oh, shit. And then, bro, they had so many good themes in there. Like, they had the
every time he danced after he killed somebody.
Every time, that was a good one. And then, it was just like, everything is funny to him. Or he was just like, what was the saying they had?
My life's a tragedy.
My life's a tragedy.
Or it's not a tragedy, it's a fucking comedy.
Yes. That was, I was just like, fuck. Like, damn, like it's just such a great way of conceptualizing these messages.
Like what was going on in his head.
Yeah, exactly. It's like that's I can understand very easily where the Joker is coming from when someone does something and he just laughs. And the point of that is to not understand it, right? Like that's an abnormal reaction to most situations where the Joker was laughing at someone.
For sure.
But it's like you then begin to understand that, like why, like what the abnormality comes from, what it stems from, and that's just good writing all around.
And it's ultimately to me about how he felt so powerless.
Yeah.
That the moment that he killed those two dudes on the subway, and people started kind of idolizing him, some of them did. I mean, that shit went straight to his head, understandably.
Yeah.
It went straight to his head, and he felt power.
Uh-huh.
And he was finally confident about something.
Yeah.
So he walks right up to Brian Tyree Henry, asks for the specific files about who his real father is because he's done. He's like, all right, well, if my mom lied to me about this, then I'm fucking done. I'm fucking done. And then he walks up, he asks for him, and he's like, you know those guys on the subway? I did that. And he was like talking about it like he thought he was about to get some serious praise from this man because he did that.
He was like, man, those are some fucking dirtbags. Like they're terrible people. Like they're just rich assholes who think that they're entitled to everything. And so I showed them, like he's like, I showed them, like basically I fuck them. And like to him, he's like, yo, like I did something good. I did a service for this world. I took someone who has caused me the very worst pain of my life, and like, or taking like a mold of that sort of person, and I've shown them who's boss, and like that's triumphant for the Joker.
Oh, absolutely.
But everyone else is like,
everyone's like, dude, chill the fuck out.
Yeah.
Everyone's like, yo, you can't just kill people to cope. But like, yo, go be an alcoholic. Like, like get this shit over with. Like,
that actually just brought an interesting idea into my head, though. Like, what are some examples of superheroes that kill people 100%? Deadpool. Like that's the same idea. Like,
well, and the thing is, the superheroes that kill people are anti-heroes.
That's true. Yeah.
They're not superheroes.
Yeah.
Superheroes are the ones that have that strict moral code that are like Captain America. Captain America's not going to kill unless he absolutely has to.
Right. And I like how, like, in the Batman games, like, he did some fuck shit to these people. Like, but it's like, you can never, like, throw them off a building or something like that. Like, you can't blatantly kill them. I've been playing the Spider-Man game. Bro, you can kick people off of skyscrapers.
Oh, dude, I fucking love
like,
that.
Yo, Spidey 100% killed that motherfucker. Like,
oh yeah, like that shit where you like swing and you kick them off a building. Like that dude's gonna land.
Yeah. One time I did that and I looked down and the body was just gone. But I was like, bro, he is gone.
Bro, he is dead.
Like, bro, kids are playing this game. They're gonna be like, Spidey just kicked him off the skyscraper.
Oh fuck.
No, but just like the idea that the Joker represents this person who takes control of his own life and starts to add meaning to it, and albeit that meaning is inherently negative and violent and disruptive, but
extremely wrong.
Yeah, it's still, there's still merit, I think, to the talent of everything. From they shot that film digitally. Or no, they shot it on they didn't shoot it digitally. They shot it on film, and they added the digital stuff afterwards. So if you look at it, you can kind of see how like there are parts of it that look comic booky, like like it's hyper realism essentially, and like there you can definitely see like in the like when they show like that long ass street, like that busy ass street, the like the back 50% of that shot is like all like digital, but the front 50% is actually like real, recorded on film, and they just extended it out, but it made it look like it was almost like a video game you're looking at, like, because you know how like video games now look fucking real, like it's kind of ridiculous. It made it look like that, which in the context of watching a Joker movie, I was thrilled. Like I'm like, this is loved awesome, like because it's already like
I saw that movie in IMAX.
Oh shit.
And one of the best viewing experiences I've ever had for any movie.
Really?
I mean, just because of how beautiful visually it was. And in IMAX theater, you know how it has like the surround sound, so you can actually hear where sounds are coming from?
Yeah.
Shit was scary as fuck.
Oh, I bet.
Like shit would pop up and like I'd hear it behind my right ear.
Oh, and you're just like, who the fuck?
And yo, fuck all that.
Yeah, fuck all that.
It was fun as fuck though. Great
I
fucking
bet.
movie.
That sounds really dope. No, I need to watch more movies in IMAX. Joker would be a good one.
Oh, dude. You know what movie I just saw in IMAX, and we can kind of cruise this right into the next one?
All right.
Rise of Skywalker.
Oh, shit. Oh, was that in IMAX?
I saw it in IMAX. The second time I saw it.
Okay. Damn.
Yeah. So, I mean, I fucking love Star Wars. Everyone knows I love Star Wars, and I'm really fucking excited to talk about it.
Okay.
So,
here we go.
Rise of Skywalker. I want to hear your thoughts. Because I remember we sat next to each other my first viewing.
Yeah.
And I felt your disdain. I feel like I felt your disappointment.
Yeah. Well, I wasn't necessarily... I guess I was disappointed. I wasn't blown away by anything or surprised by anything. By the end of that movie, I was honestly just ready for it to be over, kind of, because... And
I get what you're saying.
I don't know what it was about the story specifically. The acting was well done. The character development, I think, was sufficient enough. I think that the how they shot the movie was beautiful.
Oh my god, it was
this past trilogy.
Visually, one of the most
so good.
One of the most visually breathtaking works of art I've ever seen.
Yeah.
Rise of Skywalker.
It's what we want.
Oh my god, it was fucking. Yeah. It was somehow bigger than any Star Wars movie has ever been.
Yeah. And
still felt like Star Wars. Like fundamentally at its core, it felt like a Star Wars movie.
Right. I just couldn't for the life of me get a concrete like theme out of this trilogy from this movie specifically, because it's like they built like from The Force Awakens, they start with this idea of a hero can be anyone, or like a Jedi can be anyone.
Absolutely.
And I'm like, this is dope. I like this. Like they're starting something new. And really, this is the conclusion to 9
all 8 movies before this. Yeah, this and I think it did a really good job of wrapping it all up.
I do think it did do a good job of that. The only problem was I just wish Star Wars didn't even try to do that. Like, I don't think that
you wish they would have focused on this trilogy, not the whole thing.
Yes, and I wish they would have focused on this trilogy going into the next one, because it's like I feel like there was a great opportunity for them to start talking about how like the Jedi specifically can start to recreate themselves. And
got you, yeah.
From a grassroots sort of mentality where it's like, we don't need an Obi-Wan, we don't need a Luke, we need a Rey who knows for some reason that she can't explain, that there's something that's pulling her towards this light. There's also something that's pulling her towards this dark.
Will have spoilers. Spoiler warning. Yeah. I'm going to talk about this movie, and I'm going to talk the shit out of it, okay?
But it's like there's this battle between light and darkness for Rey, and that's a very prominent thing. And it's like, obviously she needs to choose the light, right, in the end, and she does. But I want that to be of her own accord, not of this idea that she is a Skywalker, not of this idea that like Kylo Ren just turns out to be completely opposite of what everyone believe him to be, and that compels her to do it. But I was just like, it seemed like they created too many hoops for themselves to jump through in this movie to get to the conclusion that they wanted.
And the thing is, part of that is because of what The Last Jedi did to the franchise.
Yeah.
I mean, The Last Jedi was taken by Rian Johnson. The other two are J.J. Abrams movies through and through.
Yeah.
And Rian Johnson took his story and ran his own way with it.
Yeah.
And I think The Rise of Skywalker did as good as it possibly could have, given what The Last Jedi was.
Yeah. And it was like, watching it, I was like, okay. I mean, I'm not disappointed. I wish it was better. I wish it was, like, more independently interesting. But, like, I'm not going to lie. Like, you can't watch that movie and not fanboy. Like,
I mean, it was a fucking brilliant movie.
Yeah.
Like, no matter what, if you don't like this movie, you still liked the movie.
Yeah.
Like, you enjoyed viewing it. You enjoyed watching it.
I will watch The Rise of Skywalker 100% again.
Oh, absolutely. And do you remember what I said to you as soon as the movie ended?
What?
I looked at you and I go, well, that happened.
Yeah, I remember that, yeah. And that's kind of how you felt. Like,
it was. Here's the thing. I sat on it. It grew a lot for me. I liked it a lot 12 hours after I watched it. The next morning I woke up, I felt even better about it than I did the night before.
Yeah.
I saw it again. 50 times better to me.
Really?
And here's why. First time I'm watching it, I'm thinking about it the entire time. I'm thinking about, okay, why'd they do that? Why'd they do that? Why'd they do that?
Yeah.
Okay, they did that. Why? Like, it's all these things they just... And when you're watching this movie, it is all gas, no brakes.
Yeah.
That thing does not stop.
No.
It fucking rolls and rolls and rolls and rolls, and you are not getting a rest.
No, you're not.
You think you're taking a piss break during this movie? You're fucking wrong.
Yeah.
Everything happens in this movie. And while there was that part in the middle where Han comes back and speaks to Kylo.
Didn't like it.
What?
It was like, Han's, like, why do they need, when someone needs to do something, why is it the trope every time to be like, oh, here's this person from their past, let's have them give the speech.
And I agree that is an overused trope.
Almost, it's like the issue that I have with CW TV shows, which I love. Anytime anything happens, it's like, I'll go talk to him. I'll go talk to him.
Exactly.
Let me go talk to him. I'll go talk to him. And it's like, it gets to be like, this is a realistic way.
From that point of view, I completely understand. Because that was the part of the movie. The heart of the movie was Han talking to Kylo, Luke coming out and talking to Rey as a Force Ghost, and I mean, Leia reached out to Kylo too.
Yeah.
And the reason that that's good for a Star Wars movie is because that's what this has always been.
Right.
Luke saved Vader, gave him redemption in the end. And Han, like, what the son did for the father there is what the father does for the son here.
Yeah.
He convinces him, and I fucking loved this scene. The second time I watched it might be my favorite scene.
Really?
In all of Star Wars.
Really?
All of them.
Okay.
Part of that is because after the second viewing, I'm fairly certain Kylo Ren's my favorite character in any movie. Any of them. And the way George Lucas always said, good stories rhyme.
Yeah.
And I love the way they utilized that fucking hundreds of times in Rise of Skywalker. The way Kylo looks at Han and goes, I know what I have to do, but I don't know if I have the strength to do it.
Yeah.
Exactly what he said right before he killed Han in The Force Awakens. And I can't remember exactly what Han says in the response, but I think it's, you do. You do have the strength.
Really?
Yeah, and in the first one, he said, you do have the strength. Kylo killed him, because that, in that moment, is what he felt he had to do, because he felt like he was too far gone. He's lost.
Yeah.
He's out of here.
Yeah.
In this one, the strength, he doesn't know if he has the strength to view himself as good enough. He doesn't know that he is good enough to be on the light, in the light side.
Yeah.
So when he looks at him, he says, I don't know if I have the strength to do it. And he goes, you do. And he throws the lightsaber. I fucking loved it. And then he looks at him and he goes, he's breaking, and he goes, Dad.
Yeah.
And Han goes, I know. I was like, oh, fuck me, dude. Holy shit, bro. Like, that was the I love you, I know callback right there.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, that shit warmed my fucking heart.
And they had a ton of moments like that only someone who is deeply sympathizing with the entirety of the Star Wars
will appreciate
story or franchise will appreciate. And at a point, I'm not gonna lie, when they were just like, there was like maybe 30 minutes where so many different characters from the
just
past
popped up,
pop up, and I was like, what the fuck?
That's that part of the movie I was talking about. Like,
yeah.
Luke shows up, Han
and it's like
up.
I didn't know how to feel about that. And then I was ultimately okay with it though, because I'm a Star Wars fan. But I think the part that I hated the most was when fucking first of all, anytime someone dies, they're never fucking dead in Star Wars. It gets annoying.
Okay, and this movie specifically was terrible.
But then, like at the very end, when like Rey is dying. You're probably gonna be better at explaining this. What was
I got what you. I know exactly what you're about to talk about. All right, so Rey and Ben at this point, Ben Solo, who got flipped by his dad Han. They get their life force sucked out by Emperor Palpatine.
Yeah.
Palpatine becomes strong enough to rule the Sith on his own. And I understand the laugh there. But this sucking the life force out of them kills them effectively, right?
Yeah.
Rey gets the power of the Jedi all behind her. Great scene. Very Avengers Endgame-esque.
Oh, yeah.
The entire ending of that movie was exactly like Avengers Endgame. The entire fleet shows up just like all the holes open.
No, that was my first thought.
I am all the Jedi. I am Iron Man. Like, it's the exact same thing.
I was like, wait. Like, this seems uber familiar.
And it's the exact same thing. We'll talk about Endgame here in a second, which is crazy to think that was the same year as this one. But
fuck. Good year.
Fucking great year for franchise movies. I mean, the end of the Avengers saga, the end of Stage 1 or Phase 1 or whatever.
Phase 4.
Well, it's like
the first...
The Infinity Saga. The end of the Infinity
right.
Saga and the end of the Skywalker Saga. It's a fucking great year for movies. But when Rey defeats Palpatine, she's dead. Like, all of her force to go on, it's gone. Ben Solo climbs out of that fucking hole.
And so at this point, I'm like, okay, so Palpatine obviously was dead.
He's
back
dead,
alive.
He is dead.
No. I'm saying like he was dead, back alive. Now he's ruling shit, right? Kills apparently kills Rey and Ben. Rey isn't dead though, and I'm thinking at this point Ben is dead because he got like blasted.
He got thrown into the hole.
At this point, I'm like, Ben must be offed. They must have offed him. Rey gets back up. I'm like,
and
oh shit.
That one I knew he wasn't dead.
Okay.
That one I knew he wasn't dead because that man earned a death that was greater than Palpatine forcing him into a hole.
That was ultimately why I was a little skeptical. But I was okay with it at that point. It's normal. Movies do that all the time.
Yeah.
And then Rey gets back up. I'm like, okay, this makes sense. Rey defeats Palpatine, right? And then
you're like, that's it. Like that should be it.
And then
she collapses.
and I'm like,
and then Ben climbs out of the hole.
What the fuck? And I'm like, oh shit, yeah, there's Ben. Help her.
And I understand this. I understand your problem with it, and I really do because it is.
Yeah,
it's corny. It's cheesy. It is absolutely all those things.
Then Ben comes to her and then gives her his life. Take that any way you want. Honestly, I don't feel like people are... I 100% at this point think Star Wars will give Rey a baby from that.
Oh, absolutely. Because Kylo impregnated her.
As soon as I realized what was happening, I was like, wait, so he put his
hand directly on her stomach. He revived her by giving her life.
And I was like, this already sounds like a bad sex joke, but we're going to be okay with it. They're probably going to like do some shit with that. And then Ben just falls out. Or no.
No, they kiss.
They kiss. And then Ben falls out. And then...
All right, and I want to know, how'd you feel about the kiss?
Hated it. I was like, fuck. I knew going in, I was like, they're going to play up Kylo. They're going to... Rayla, yeah. They're going to play that up. I 100% know that they will. But then I thought that they wouldn't, because it seemed like they were going the Finn route.
What? Okay, and Finn was not going to say I love you.
Really?
The actor, John Boyega, confirmed he was not going to say I love you. What he was going to tell her, and what I wish... Rian Johnson would have taken advantage of in The Last Jedi is that Finn clearly has the Force. Clearly is in touch with the Force.
Oh.
He was going to ask Rey to train him.
Damn. That makes so much more sense.
And they didn't have time to do it because Rian Johnson decided to give him a one-off love story.
That was fucked. Why did they do that? Like, who does that in a movie? Like, in a trilogy?
My only theory is that Rian Johnson fundamentally did not like the Finn storyline.
Yeah.
And decided, fuck this shit.
Yeah. We're gonna have them race through some rich place with weird animals.
Which Canto Bight. That's the plan. That was that
Canto
planet.
Bight, yeah,
And
it was a good scene.
It was fucking fun.
Good sequence.
And don't get me wrong, The Last Jedi, in and of itself, great movie. I love watching that movie because it is a Star Wars story.
Yeah.
It doesn't fit this saga, though.
It doesn't. And I felt like when that was happening, like I'm like, this is all visually appealing and stuff, but like, why are they going so in depth on them? What were they trying to do? Like find a ship or something?
Or Finn's storyline?
In The Last Jedi.
In The Last Jedi, Finn was
Why did him and Rose? He was leaving, and then Rose knew he was leaving, so she left with him.
Yeah,
because
so
he was deserting technically.
What happened in The Last Jedi was the Resistance was going to be destroyed by the First Order.
Yeah.
First Order. And they sent, or Finn left under, Finn and Rose left, and Poe was the only one who knew about it. They left so that they could find, I can't remember what they were looking for, but it was something to get them the fuck out of there.
Yeah.
So that they could dip and the First Order wouldn't catch up.
Yeah.
I think they were looking for fuel. But I don't know why they would have gone that far for fuel. I can't remember what they were looking for. Point is, it was going to save them from getting destroyed by the First Order.
Yeah.
Ultimately, they
isn't
were
everything
fine.
going to save them from getting destroyed?
Yeah. I mean, like, it's Star Wars. The good guys are going to win. Like, and like, that's what's comforting about it. And like,
yeah.
And like, that's the thing with Star Wars is like, the good guys are going to win. It's going to happen however it happens.
Yeah.
And for me, the first time I watched their kiss, Rey and Kylo, I too was very disappointed. Because what sucks is in the 8th movie, I got major romance vibes.
Yeah, me
like
too.
They were clearly building a romance.
Me too.
The start of this movie,
dead.
And I wouldn't even say it's necessarily dead.
It
seemed like their bond formed into something else.
Yeah.
Their bond, for me, became something more fraternal.
Yeah.
They felt brother-sister to me. They felt like Luke Leia.
100%. Because he's like, I know who your father was. And he's like, like, I know all this about you. And it just kind of seemed like they're playing this game. And Kylo was trying to sort of manipulate her and be like, no, I have more Force power. But she's like, no, I've trained in the Force. Like, I can beat you. But it was like brother, sister. Like, obviously brother and sister on different sides of the battle. But still brother and... You haven't read it. There's a book, the Bhagavad Gita, which is... it's like a traditional Hindu text.
Oh, yeah, I've heard of the book, yeah.
Yeah. That's the story that is happening. It's a guy, Arjuna is... he has to go to battle with his... brother or something.
Gotcha.
And so the book is Krishna, the Hindu god,
yeah.
giving him all the lessons and stuff.
Gotcha.
And so it felt like that. It felt like it was Rey knowing that she needed to fight someone who was probably important to her, but she couldn't verify because she knew she had some sort of connection to him. But like ultimately, it was a family member, and I mean, in the context of the Bhagavad Gita, it was something where, you know, you have to do what you have to do.
Yeah.
And so that's what I thought this was going to terminate in, a story like that.
And everything I just said is how I felt the first time I watched the movie. The second time I watched the movie, I thought about it like this. Okay, now I know they're building to this big kiss.
Yeah.
Everything's immediately reframed. Everything feels a little bit more romantic.
Yeah, naturally.
And I mean, like, as it should.
Yeah.
But... And, like, that shouldn't be how it happens. Like, you should be able to watch the movie and get that the first time. Like, that's...
But, and this is already 2 instances of that phenomenon happening with this movie, which is why I'm kind of wary about it.
I get you.
With the Finn thing, that's exactly what happened for everyone. Everyone was like, oh, he was going to say I love you, but he's like, no, I actually wasn't. If you watch closer, you're going to realize it's this. But it's like...
And the first time I watched it, obviously my immediate thought is I love you, because that's what... It's not necessarily what Star Wars was trying to portray. It's just what movies portray.
Yeah.
I'm about to die. I have something to tell you, this person that is extremely close to me. It's I love you.
Yeah.
Like, that's
I love
that's
you.
what you go to, right?
That is, yeah.
In the context of Star Wars, though, that's the thing. My problem when I watched it the first time is that I wasn't thinking in context of what Star Wars is. I was thinking in context of simply what cinema is.
Yeah.
When you watch this movie and think about the layers of, like, the Star Wars universe, everything makes more sense. Everything.
Yeah, yeah.
And
it's just the fucking universe is so complex.
It's so intricate and complex, everything. Yeah, but Kylo and Rey, they were obviously building that romance in 8.
Yeah.
With, I mean, you felt it. There was some heat there, right?
Oh yeah, for sure.
And in the 9th movie, when he goes, "You wanted to take my hand, why didn't you?" She goes, "I did want to take your hand." Later in the movie, Ben's hand. And you're kind of like, okay. The way I look at that now is it's the same way we view Anakin and Darth Vader. These are two different people.
Okay.
Same character,
but
two different people.
How she would never have known Ben. She knew Kylo first. So, like, what grounds is there to start some sort of remote? Or, like,
she loved
romantic?
Han. She loved Leia.
That's fair.
She loved Luke. That's his uncle.
It sounds like she was more in love with, like, the original Star Wars trilogy.
Oh yeah, and like
more so than just Ben himself. She's just in love with these people.
Another part of it though that I think definitely fed into their romance is, you remember them calling them a dyad of the Force?
Yeah.
Two who are one?
Yeah.
They are two who are one.
Yeah.
Like, I think no matter what, if you literally aren't related, it's probably going to come with some romantic connotation. Two who are one.
Yeah, that's fair. But we all thought they were related.
I didn't.
Really?
I didn't think they were related.
Okay.
Based off The Last Jedi, I didn't think they were related. Yeah. 7th movie, I agree. 100%. I was like, oh, they have the same parents. Yeah. But then I saw Han and Leia, the way they treated her, I was like, okay, there's no way they have the same parents. Yeah. Like, that can't be possible.
I always thought, so 7th movie, because that was that, like, you know, a Jedi comes from anywhere, I thought it was like, oh, her parents are going to be some nobodies. But then I was like, I got the feeling she might be related to Kylo, but I was like, no, there got to be some nobodies. And then The Last Jedi happened, and then they really play up, like,
they're clearly not related.
And I was like, well, I'm really thinking it's just going to be some random people. Like, they might be, like, tangentially related to the story. And it turns out that they were sort of tangentially related to the story.
For sure.
And, you know, I guess in a way, it still does accomplish the whole, a Jedi can come from anywhere. But
because
it's almost like they rewrite that strain by ending it being like, my name is Rey Skywalker.
Yeah. And
it doesn't even sound that good.
Rey Skywalker, I like it.
I like Skywalker, but and I like Rey. I just don't know if I like them back to back.
And that was also when it ended, I said, well, that happened. And Skywalker thing, didn't like it.
I thought they should just go Rey Palpatine.
An hour and a half, I did not. Really? If she would have said Rey Palpatine, I'd have been like, yo, what? You're just going to take Palpatine's name after that?
I thought that would have been a dope little point of reclamation to be like no.
Palpatine is now mine.
Yeah,
like, this is my shit. Okay, I get that. Yeah. I get that. But the way I view it is that she was more Skywalker than she ever was Palpatine.
And I 100% could as soon they showed Leia and Luke,
and they're like, do it.
Yeah, they're like,
tell her.
And
tell her your name, Skywalker.
Anytime they do the Force Ghost in Star Wars, just looking like, you know,
they know that it's like, you know what's up, G.
Yeah, you know
what the
and then she
is.
goes, "What's your name?" And I'm like, "What is your name?"
Yeah, she was like, Rey, and she was like, "What's your last name?" And she like looks over, and I was like, "Why are you like all of a sudden looking over there?" And then Luke and Leia show up, and she's like, Skywalker. And I was like, second time I watched it, I was like, fuck yeah. I was like, yeah, you are.
Yeah, you are.
And see, and that's the thing. That's actually how most Star Wars movies go for me.
No,
is the first time I watched them, I don't really like them.
Mm-hmm.
And I can only say that with 7, 8, and 9. Yeah. Because they're the only ones I've gotten the opportunity to see for the first time in theaters.
Yeah. But that's kind of something about Star Wars movies in general, apparently.
I totally get it, because I could completely understand watching any of the first 3 movies, like for the first time, and not enjoying them.
Yeah. And they weren't really well critically. I don't know if many of the Star Wars movies of all 9 have been critically received well. Empire was.
New Hope was. The first Star Wars was nominated for Best Picture.
Yeah.
Lost to Annie Hall.
Other than those two, I don't know if there were any other Star Wars movies that people, like, critically in their time were like, yes, this is a good film. Like, this is a good movie. I don't know if that's been necessarily said of any of this past trilogy. But we still watch it and we still enjoy it and it still makes money. I think not because, like, they make stories with, like, great plots necessarily.
They make stories that people connect with.
They make stories that people can connect with, and they make stories that are just, like, entertaining.
And at its core, like, what...
That's Disney. That's what
Disney
does.
What Disney is. And at Star Wars' core, it's always been about family.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
It's always been about the people you love.
Story. Yeah.
So I liked a lot that Palpatine was back.
Mm-hmm.
And this time, it was the family that had to destroy itself.
I just wish they brought it up earlier. Like, I was like, why did they hide Palpatine for so long?
And I'm pretty sure that's because Rian Johnson kills Snoke.
Yeah.
Rian Johnson kills Snoke when Snoke is actually supposed to be the villain in
Episode 9. As soon as
9.
I saw Snoke, I was like, he's too similar to Palpatine. Like, is this just every Sith overlord, like, looks like this? Like, I was just like, and he sounds kind of like Palpatine.
Yeah.
It just...
No.
Come to find out, it is Palpatine. And you're like, you know...
Well, then, like, when you
shocker.
think about it like that, that's good.
Oh,
Isn't that fundamentally a good storytelling thing for you to look at that villain and go, that's so much like Palpatine, and then they reveal, like, it was Palpatine.
That is, but I feel like that made Palpatine less impactful as a character in this trilogy than he should have been. Because all of this was Palpatine, but
I think that makes it fun. Like, it's all a matter of, like, how you look at it. Like,
but nobody knew. Everybody basically knew.
You know what that makes him, though?
What?
The fact that you never once saw him and he was controlling all the shit?
What?
The Phantom Menace. It makes him the Phantom Menace. From episode 1, everything he does affects all the way through episode 9. And I think that's fun. I think that's a cool, fun way to round out the story. And I do agree, I would have liked if he was actively a part of 7 and 8. But then, if he is actively a part of 7 and 8, that completely undermines the original trilogy.
That's fair. And you did say that, like, in the context of Star Wars, everything makes more sense. And I think that 100% is true. But it's hard to do that with Star Wars because so many people, like myself included, are not, like, Star Wars. It's hard to figure out.
It is hard to figure out
what the fuck the progression and the story is.
Absolutely.
Like, it's not a straightforward story. It's not.
It's very difficult to follow at points.
Like, they have parts of the story that are canon that happened in comic books.
Yeah.
And, like, that they do make sorts of references to, and you're just kind of supposed to just accept it or know it, I guess.
I do like that Darth Sidious, or Emperor Palpatine's, like, one of his first lines in the movie when he's introducing himself to Kylo Ren, he's like, the dark side is a path to methods that many consider unnatural. And the shit, like, flashes on his face. I loved the way Palpatine looked.
Oh yeah, no,
he looked dope.
Did look good. He was definitely.
He fit the character perfectly. Like, that's what Phantom Palpatine looks like.
Right. Yeah. It's weird. It's I like that you pointed that out though, because that does show just that they were being very consistent in general with Star Wars. They're trying to show give justice to the actual story that Star Wars is. Because there are people who don't like that Palpatine was the villain in this movie because it undermines Darth Vader's redemption. Yeah. Because Darth Vader only comes back to defeat Palpatine, to kill Palpatine. Yeah. He only becomes Anakin again to kill Palpatine. Exactly.
And he did that.
Yeah.
At that time, he did that.
Yeah.
He brought balance to the Force as Anakin was supposed to. Uh-huh. And that was good for the time being. I think it's important to be able to view these as a whole. Yeah. And also be able to understand that, like, that doesn't undermine his storyline, because at the time, Palpatine was dead. Like, He was brought back from the dead. They make that clear.
Then to me, it's like, just please don't do it again. Like, I get it. But it's just like with movies, like normally Anakin does this thing, restores order to the Force. Great. Now in this movie, they're framing it as he did restore order to the Force only because like that was necessary. Now it's necessary to do it again. That was almost explicitly the explanation that Luke gives, I think, where he's just like, that was then, this is now, the same thing needs to happen.
Absolutely.
Don't tell me the same story twice. Like, I don't know. Yeah.
I get you. I get you then. What I think the biggest problem, and pretty much any Star Wars fan will agree, is just the way Episode 8 went.
Yeah.
Like, The Last Jedi is, at its core, way different than any Star Wars movie.
Oh, yeah.
And, I mean, there's a mutiny within the Resistance. That's never happened. That's never. I understand why it happened in the context of that movie. I get it. But, like, it is realistic. I mean, and Luke never would have gone into exile. That wasn't Luke. No. That's not what Luke does.
Yeah. No.
Luke stands up and fights for whatever it is that he's got to do. Like, sure, he had an apprentice who betrayed him, killed all of his Jedi younglings.
Yeah.
Luke's not giving in. Luke doesn't give up there. He goes and he finds and he fights for that.
Exactly.
Like, and that's why I appreciated what J.J. Abrams did in this 9th one with the way he catches Rey's lightsaber when she's throwing it into the fire of the TIE fighter.
Yeah.
And he goes, a Jedi never treats their weapon like that.
Yeah.
Which kind of redeems him for throwing the shit over his shoulder at the beginning of Episode 8, where he was like, fuck this.
Yeah.
And he just threw that bitch. Like, I was like, man.
I've never been more disappointed with Star Wars than, like, the first 20 minutes of The Last Jedi. Because I was just like...
Because the way Force Awakens ends, you're like, oh, fuck yeah.
We're getting into it. Because you're watching Force Awakens, and this is just what Star Wars does, but they build that shit up. And they're like, you want lightsabers? You're going to have to wait. And so you get there, you're like, lightsabers, Jedi, let's fucking do it. And then they're just like, yeah, fuck the Jedi. And you're just like, what?
Wait.
Like, wait, where does this story go?
And I do like the way that Luke's storyline went, because it went in a way... Like, the reason Anakin went over to the dark side in the first place is because of the ways of the Jedi Order.
Yeah.
The Jedi were fundamentally flawed.
Yeah.
They did not do a good job at what they were supposed to do. So when Luke realized this, that there was an argument to be made that that's why he went into exile. Is that, like...
He couldn't cope with
the fact that the Jedi would never be what it's supposed to be.
Yeah.
But I think that's what's good about Rey becoming a, quote, gray Jedi, is the theory as to what she becomes, is like just kind of a gray area. Like, she uses the Force.
That's why she, I guess this probably has the tie-in with the yellow lightsaber.
Yellow lightsaber,
right?
Yeah.
Yeah, no, that's weird. I kind of like that. That. I don't know, and this definitely is just because of where I land idealistically. But it literally feels like the Jedi were created to serve this purpose of serving the ultimate ideal of goodness.
Yeah.
And trying to reach that, but obviously that's never really attainable.
That's not realistic.
And it's the dark side easily recruits people because it's like, as long as they can materialize that thought that what you're doing ultimately could be for nothing, or you could have more elsewhere. If you just abandon striving for this unattainable ideal, it makes it easy to be like, yeah, let's fuck it, go to the dark side, because, you know, we're just being good people, but for what? And it's like, well, we're being good people to be good people. And that's what I think that the Jedi should be. Like, the Jedi should be someone who's like, yeah, sure, like, we won't ever be great, but, you know, we're
fundamentally good.
We're good. That's it. That's all. That's
like, we believe in the greater good.
Yes, exactly. And it's like, we believe in doing that in a genuine way. We are not the Sith. Honestly, as long as they were taking down Sith forces and Sith ideology, the Jedi are doing their job. Obviously, they could be doing it better. Anyone could always be doing their job better. Yeah, but I kind of like that idea that that's what the Jedi are. But it makes sense that Rey would be more of a gray Jedi, because she did have, like, from the very beginning, like, a lot of weird,
dark.
Yeah, dark.
Well, and another thing that I really loved is that in the 8th movie, this is one of the things that Rian Johnson did really well with the 8th movie, is that it showed Rey's tendency to go straight to the dark.
Yeah.
You remember when Luke was like, you went straight to the dark. You didn't even hesitate. Like, you went straight to what was at the core of the island. And she was like, it was calling to me. And he's like, that's, you got to resist that shit.
Yeah.
Like, you can't just go to the dark side.
Yeah.
And, like, that's what they show in the 8th movie when, like, she shoots the lightning out of her hand just on instinct.
Yeah.
Like, just because, like, she got to that place and she was not hesitating to use it. Like, she was like, I'm angry. Okay. And, like, she didn't mean to, obviously.
Yeah.
Because she thought it killed Chewbacca.
Uh-huh.
Another pretty shitty death tease.
Yeah.
Like, I was like, yo, you can't just kill Chewbacca like that.
Yeah,
like,
I know.
You're not going to kill Chewbacca. That part.
It fucked me up. I was just like, they did that.
I know. I was like, yo, they just killed Chewbacca
at
like
that point, I thought that the direction for the movie was going to be to kill off all the old people.
So I was like, oh, okay, like that's how Chewbacca's dying.
Mm-hmm.
And then they brought him back a couple seconds later, and that was
a couple seconds later. That's what they.
I mean, and it wasn't.
They just did it too many times.
Yeah, and his death tease was pointless. But I mean, it wasn't pointless because the point was to show that Rey could do that.
Yeah. And I'm just thinking about this in the context of Star Wars in general. Like, the same thing happened with Leia. The same thing happened with Luke.
It all happens.
Why do they do it so many times?
Well, and the thing is, like, realistically, the battles they're fighting, you're gonna come close to death.
They are.
You don't have to tease death that much.
Yeah,
though.
you don't have to be like, they're dead, guys. Just kidding.
The part that got me. So Leia dies. That didn't get me.
Yeah. No.
Because I knew she was gonna die. I knew she was gonna die because Han dies in 1, Luke dies in 8, Leia was gonna die in 9. That's just how it was gonna go.
Yeah.
But what did fuck me up was Chewbacca reacting to Leia dying.
Bruh.
And like, I'm having a tough time talking about it, bro. Like, yo, and what I also appreciated about it is that as soon as they got back, they were like, we have to go talk to the general. Like Finn, Poe, Chewbacca, they all got back, right?
Yeah.
And then the lady who informs them, she's like, the general's dead. Like, I love that Finn immediately just looked at Chewbacca and was like, oh my God, like, that's officially it. Yeah. Everybody who Chewbacca was with is gone. Yeah. And like the way he collapsed to his knees and just like roared, like, oh, fuck, man.
Goddamn.
That fucked me
Truly,
up.
Man.
I cried.
Especially after you just had thought he was dead and you're just like, oh. He thought he was dead, probably.
What was good about that, though, not good about it, but something that came of it that, like, immediately I was like, well, now they have to bring Lando back.
Oh, yeah.
And now Chewbacca's going to be riding with Lando all the time.
Exactly.
I fuck with that heavy.
Yo, I was really glad they brought Lando back.
Lando Calrissian. Hey. Give Leia my love.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, fuck yeah, Lando. Get your Mac game in. Give Leia my love.
Yo, Lando is the G.
And they were obviously setting up that a series for Disney Plus with Lando and that Jenna or Hannah. I can't remember what her name was.
Yeah, the girl that went with him. Oh, that was
the girl who rode the horses.
Yeah. I can't remember her name.
She was a stormtrooper. I can't remember her name either. Yeah,
but
she's his daughter, right?
God damn it! I'm gonna be a little upset if she is. I'm not gonna lie.
I mean, they made it way too obvious.
That's just such a random. Like, they never would have ran into each other, though.
Well, and that's the thing. Like, that's kind of the thing with the entire Star Wars universe is, like, you get brought together because of the Force. Like, these things happen for a reason. And that's just the way you have to look at it when it comes to Star Wars.
That's, bringing balance. Like, that has.
And, like, that's what Finn talks about with her, which also leads me to believe that's why she was brought to them.
That could make sense. Especially if they do a Disney Plus series, I 100% believe that's probably.
Oh, for sure. I mean, I love Billy D.
Oh, Billy D is just great.
Smooth as hell.
Smooth as hell. Honestly, Donnie Glover playing young Billy D is just...
It was perfect.
Perfect. Solo?
They're the same man. Like,
yeah.
like they are both just smooth as fucking butter, bro.
Yeah, no, they are. I'm not gonna lie. I fucked with Solo more than
Solo was a good movie.
Like, that is honestly one of my, like, of the time this trilogy came, of the time of the trilogy coming out, Solo is 1 or 2 or 2 or 3 for me.
Oh, damn, really? That high?
Oh, yeah. Probably 2. I think it's 2.
It's got to be 4 for me.
Really?
If I'm ranking since Disney took over, the 6 movies they've put out.
Yeah.
Or, is it 6?
5.
5, because Force Awakens, Last Jedi, Rise of Skywalker, Rogue One, Solo.
Yeah.
Rogue One might be the best movie Star Wars has ever made.
I actually haven't seen Rogue One in I haven't seen Rogue One in a year.
Because it's the story of how they got the plans for the Death Star.
Yeah.
Bro, that movie from a storytelling perspective, far and away the most well-written Star Wars movie.
Really?
Because, and like, and that makes sense because it's not building a bigger universe. You knew how the movie was going to end. They were going to find the Death Star plans.
Yeah.
It was how they fucking got there. It was so good.
Yeah, yeah. No,
and they still made it a Star Wars movie. It felt very Star Wars.
I'm really blanking on what happened in that movie. I've seen it at least 2 times, though, for sure. But I remember it at the end of that one being, like, solid watch. Like, that was
for sure.
Complete circle. Like, they tied that shit up real well. And I was a little, like, going into it, like, you hear Star Wars, so you just want to be like, oh, like, where are the characters I know about? And you didn't get too many of them in there. Mm-hmm. But it was still, like, a good
you
Star
get a Leia
Wars
cameo,
movie.
and you get a Darth Vader.
Yeah.
Pops up at the end.
Yeah.
But, we should probably move on. We talked about that for a while.
Yeah, no.
Rise of Skywalker.
Rise of Skywalker.
Excellent movie.
It was due. It was the latest one that came out. And we didn't do a segment on it, too.
We had to talk about it extensively because I love this shit too much not to talk about it.
Yeah.
But what's the next movie for you? What's the next movie?
We definitely need to hit Once Upon a Time in Hollywood.
Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. Let's talk about it briefly because I know neither me or you remembers it too well.
Yeah.
We saw it in theaters. We fucking loved it.
Yeah, no, it was super good. We have a segment on it already. Go check that out. But
do we have a segment on it? Did we actually talk about it?
I can't imagine us going to see that movie and then
I don't think we did. I don't think we ever did a segment on that movie.
Really?
Yeah, because I actually remember the next episode we planned to record. I was like, should we talk about Once Upon a Time in Hollywood? And we were like, and neither of us felt confident enough to really do it.
Oh, I remember that. Yeah, because like, we were just kind of like, I mean, it was a Quentin Tarantino movie. It was good.
You know what it is.
What are we gonna say? It was fucking the Manson murders. Like it was a
play on
the Manson murder. That's just so awesome. Think about that though. Yeah, this is gonna spoil the shit out of the. Actually, it won't. This shit happened. Well, it didn't happen in real life. Anyways, in real life, Manson kills this chick. What's her name?
Shit. Fuck me.
So, the girl played by Margot Robbie. Yeah. But it's the character that Margot Robbie is playing in the actual movie. Sharon
Tate.
Tate. Yeah.
Sharon Tate.
In real life, Manson killed her brutally. But in the movie, Sharon Tate is the next door neighbor of Brad Pitt and of Leonardo DiCaprio.
Leonardo
DiCaprio, and then Brad Pitt's like his driver, and then it turns up in the end where Manson is on, like, we assume, on his way to probably eventually kill Sharon Tate, but then fucking Brad Pitt just goes fucking ape shit and kills all of them.
Leo DiCaprio torches a person alive.
Holy shit.
In a pool. He was just like they came out of the pool and he was like,
I remember watching that last sequence, like the last fight sequence, and it's a
Quentin Tarantino that's what Tarantino movie. Does. Yeah.
It's weird because like that's what he normally does, but like in this movie there wasn't like too much violence really. Like it was just
not all the way up until the end.
Yeah,
and then it was excessive.
It just spazzes out like crazy. Like there was the dude getting shot with a flamethrower, like in a pool. Like,
that shit was wild. It was so fun wild, to watch, though.
So good to watch. Yeah, no, that shit was dope.
And I mean, there's not much to say about it. I mean, they play Leonardo DiCaprio is playing an actor in the golden age of Hollywood, and Brad Pitt is his driver. and he's just been his longtime driver. He's also a stuntman, right? Yeah. Isn't that also the thing? He's also a stuntman.
But he can't work.
And he's notorious for being just a shitty person to work with.
And so like the whole movie, you're just following him around basically, and he's just
fucking loved his character.
Yeah, no,
funny
he was my
as
favorite.
hell.
He was the best. Like he was easily the best in that movie. Like it's hard to compare Margot Robbie, Leo, and
Brad Pitt.
The only reason I discount Margot Robbie is because her role wasn't like she was kind of there just to be there, pretty explicitly. Like she was just there to portray Sharon Tate, while this other thing that Quentin Tarantino was having happen, and then
and Tarantino caught shit about how Margot Robbie barely has lines. In that
and she really portrays just bad gender roles in general. But also think about it was the 70s that he's talking about and that he's doing it. Quentin Tarantino, let's face it, not been the wokest guy.
Oh, for sure not.
I mean, and it's fine. Like he makes good films. He makes critically good cinema. But like just like watching Brad Pitt and Leo like have so much on screen time together was really
so
dope.
much fun.
And to compare them feels just kind of futile. But Brad Pitt definitely stole the show.
Stole that movie, bro. He was the best part of that. Remember when he walks into that house?
Oh,
and he comes out and everybody's looking at him and he's just like, doesn't he beat the living shit out of one of the guys?
Yeah. No, that was something interesting. And then they were all just like kind of like, get the fuck out of here.
Wasn't there a point in that movie where Brad Pitt drops acid? Doesn't he drop acid right before he kills all the people?
Oh shit, he does. Because he was chilling,
he was chilling with his dog. Oh, his relationship with his dog was dope too.
Oh yeah,
his dog was always there.
No, but something when he initially beat the shit out of that dude when they went to go visit Charlie's house, he was like doing something on his car, wasn't he?
Yeah.
He was like fucking up his car, and then he was like, "Wait, what the fuck are you doing?"
Just beat the shit out of him. And then he beats the shit out of him.
No, and then he told him to fix it, and then he left him there.
Yeah.
And then, it was weird, but then he drops acid and kicks a bunch of guys' asses.
As we remember it, it very well could have been very different parts of that movie.
Those things happen.
He drops acid, might have been different and he kills a lot of people.
They might happen at different parts, but they both happen. Anyways, Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, just
an extremely fun watch. Even if you are not looking to critically analyze anything, fun as fuck to watch. It was so fun.
When did we go see this movie?
When it came out, yeah, June, July.
Was that summer?
I think so.
Yo, this year just feels weird.
Here, I'll look up the.
It feels like I've been in school for a semester. Like, what the fuck?
It's weird.
That's not
Shit,
okay.
I can't find the release date.
I'm pretty sure it was summer because I remember at that time.
I mean, it was summer. I just can't. I'm looking for the specific
one.
How
we came upon watching it was just being like, I mean, what the fuck else is there to do? Like, we're gonna go catch a movie. We might have been recording that day and been like, Once Upon a Time in Hollywood is showing. And went and go saw it.
July 26th.
Yep, that's summer.
We saw it pretty much right then too. Like we got on that one quick.
That's wild.
Yeah. Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, great movie. Strongly suggested.
Yeah. The Irishman. We already talked about that a little bit. Didn't we?
I don't think we have.
Oh, shit,
I think that was during our hiatus that we didn't. We've talked about it off mic.
About it. The Irishman, Robert De Niro, Martin Scorsese film with Robert De Niro, Joe Pesci,
Al Pacino.
It's literally
star-studded. It's the dream film that you could want from Martin Scorsese.
It's only just. I don't even feel like it's the dream squad. I feel like it's the squad. Like, oh yeah, they are. If you're
they get together all the time.
Yeah, if you're gonna watch it, I wonder if they hang out. They probably do.
Oh, for sure. There's no way that those three aren't. If you're gonna watch a mob
movie, those four have to be in.
And actually, it was the first time Al Pacino, I think, had been in a movie with either Joe Pesci, or Robert De Niro. I can't remember which one it was though.
Yeah, no, that one was definitely very good. It's long. It's definitely it's a marathon.
It's a long watch too.
That's how all those sorts of movies are.
I mean, Once Upon a Time in Hollywood was a long watch.
Oh yeah, it was
super long watch.
Yeah,
but it was fun.
Yeah,
and The Irishman. There was any one thing I could critique about it, it's that they should have gotten a body double for Martin Scorsese during any scene with movement. That man is 80 plus. he looks 80 plus. Like that man is moving like he can't move.
Yeah, yeah. No, it's not great at all.
So you paint houses.
Jimmy Hoffa too. I love Jimmy Hoffa.
That was played by Al Pacino.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
But just like because Jimmy Hoffa was like a
real person.
Like I was like, that's kind of dope.
It's kind of in the same vein as the Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. It's a spin on a real story.
Yeah, exactly. Which is just an interesting idea. Which, that's saying something about, especially that whole debate with cinema versus what do you call it, amusement parks.
Yeah.
Because like Tarantino and Scorsese, of the list that we have of top movies from this year, I think they're top 2 all-time directors on that list.
Oh, absolutely.
And it says something about the way that they both did their films, because there were a lot of similarities for as different as those stories were.
100%.
But yeah, The Irishman, definitely a good watch from this year. Came out pretty late though, so yeah.
Yeah.
Some other ones.
Have you seen Marriage Story yet?
I started it one night and fell asleep on it. I need to go back to it.
See, and I'm one of those people at this point where you can throw any movie that objectively is good, and I will like it. I won't just like watch it and approve of it being good. I will thoroughly enjoy it.
Yeah.
Because I find enjoyment in pretty much anything.
Yeah, that's fair.
And but man, I loved this movie. And I hated getting on Twitter and seeing people just absolutely thrash the acting in that one scene.
Oh, yeah.
And the acting in that scene isn't bad. It's
You're
people.
Like, I love it.
It's people hating to fucking hate.
Yeah. And that's what marriage is about.
And
do they get together in the end?
No, like it's the story of a divorce.
Okay.
Yeah, it's the story of a divorce, and they shouldn't be together. Absolutely, like no part of you thinks these people belong together.
Yeah.
But every part of you recognizes these people clearly love one another.
Mm-hmm.
They've just gotten to a point where they can't stand each other anymore.
Bro, that's so weird though, because I was just talking to someone about that, and they were like, "Yeah, my boy, like him and his girl, like they stay over there, but god damn, man, like he loves her, but he definitely don't like her." And I'm like, "Wait, what?" Like
that's a real thing. I've got a homie with a girlfriend just like that too.
Yeah.
And I mean, I've got homies who feel just the same way about their girlfriends. You know, like they love the absolute shit out of them, but on any given day I can talk to them and they are bothered. They are thoroughly bothered. I can't remember, it's in that song by BJ the Chicago Kid and Kendrick Lamar. I can't remember who the stand-up comedian is that's talking about at the end. He's like, He's like, you can tell the difference between an old relationship and a young relationship. Like, a new relationship is going to be like, hey, honey, you want some juice? He's like, oh, yeah, I want juice. I'm going to pour juice all on you.
Yeah.
You drink that juice. But like, you find somebody in love, and it's going to be like, hey, honey, you want some juice? Get your own fucking juice.
Why you want my juice?
Why you always want my juice?
Yo, that was a good... Oh, damn. I need to listen to that song again.
Well, it's Cupid?
Cupid. That's the name
Cupid,
of it. Cupid's love. Cupid. It's not just Cupid. I think there's another word there.
We'll figure it out.
Yeah.
But
Marriage Story, though. Yeah.
I mean,
divorce is something kind of fucked. I'm not gonna lie. I'm starting to really grow on this.
The New Cupid.
The New Cupid. That's
the New Cupid's what the song's called.
There's still like something about marriage that's making me be like, is it worth it?
I've never been like that. I've literally never been like that in my life until very recently, where I've like gotten to a point where I'm like, man.
If I find a person who
and like that's the thing, like I will know when I know.
Exactly.
Obviously, right now I don't know.
Right.
When I know, I will know.
Yeah. But then it's like when I do know, why?
How do I know? No.
I feel like people think they know when they get married, but it's like I don't want to fall into that delusion of being like, oh, I'm married. I signed this piece of paper to be legally bound to this person. Now, therefore, and I feel like I don't know. You can maybe talk about how this relates to Marriage Story, but that causes people to start to resent the other person because they feel legally bound, and it's like I don't really want all of this anymore.
And then, I mean, in Marriage Story, it's absolutely resentment, and it's mostly professional resentment. He is a director who is like a budding star.
Yeah.
She is an actress who could have been a really big deal.
Yeah.
But did his plays. So there's a big resentment there.
Wait, so is he a good director? No.
Yeah, he's a good director. Like he is, but he's a theater director. She could have been a movie star.
Yeah.
Is like the perception.
Yeah.
Like she could have been a movie star.
Yeah.
And she decided she was going to do his plays with him. There's also like he won't move to Los Angeles where most of her family is. They stay in New York. To be honest, Adam Driver, the character he plays, not a good dude.
Really?
Like fundamentally, definitely not a good husband.
Okay.
And I mean, there's faults on both sides, but man, throughout the entire movie, I was like, this guy sucks.
This guy sucks.
Like, yo, you shouldn't be married. Like, just get and the shit is devastating because they wanted an amicable, easy divorce.
Yeah.
But it showed how foggy, no matter how clean you want to break, how fucking messy divorce can get.
It gets so messy.
And they portrayed it really, really well. And there are parts that are just heartbreaking. I mean, one part in particular is heartbreaking. And I want you to watch the movie, so I won't spoil it, but it's a good stories rhyme thing. And you're like, oh, fuck.
Yeah.
And it fucks you up.
Okay.
It fucked me up anyway. A lot of fucks me up, though. But yeah, Marriage Story, Adam Driver, Scarlett Johansson, both did kick-ass jobs. There's other really, really good actors and actresses in it. But those two were the main characters, and they stood out.
They can carry a film.
I mean, Adam Driver, talk more later. But Marriage Story is definitely worth anybody's time.
All right, Adam Driver, talk more now. The Report.
The Report, man. This one, to be honest...
Prime Original, right?
Amazon Prime Original. Not as exciting a watch as these other movies necessarily. Very, very informative. Very, very... just like, wow. Like, I couldn't believe some of the shit I was watching. So basically what it's about is Adam Driver plays... an agent who is writing the torture report, and it's about how in post 9/11 America, CIA would torture suspected terrorists for information. Now, the statistics behind torture say it does not work. That's been made clear.
No, 100%.
And in this movie, it never worked. I can't remember the exact amount of tries. I think it was like 183 or something.
God.
But it was like, the report says they tried it 183 times on 183 different people.
To get information?
None of the information was new. None of the information was anything they had never heard before. A lot of the information wasn't true because it was just people trying to stop being tortured.
Isn't that the logical conclusion of being tortured? Is you say what they want to hear?
And the point of the movie, like, it's not the point of the movie, but a very underlying, like, obviously this is why this happened, is because they're not white. They kept torturing people because because of Islamophobia.
Yeah.
And xenophobia. Like, people with brown skin were in danger in America for being them, like just being
them, yeah.
I mean, it's the same with anybody who's not white, and it's fucking ridiculous. But like, they would, and some of these people were truly terrorists and bad people. Yeah. Like, I'm pretty sure they tortured the planner of 9/11, the guy who planned 9/11, but they didn't get anything new out of it.
Yeah, yeah. They're just like, looks like we found this information in less violent routes.
Yeah. and the thing is, it's a complicated movie. Because you want to absolutely despise the people doing the torturing.
Yeah.
But some of them are just American soldiers who are doing what they are told to do.
Yeah. And it's kind of fucked.
I mean, that's fucked up in and of itself is that like they are ordered to torture somebody, and they can't wonder why.
Yeah. Or they can't.
Or they
choose
can't
to
choose to not do it.
Yeah.
Like you are ordered to torture this person.
That is kind of fucked. That's honestly.
I mean, you should watch the movie because it's very, very, very informative. Like, and Adam Driver kills the role as he usually does, and there he another probably, one with a lot of good actors like John Hamm's in it. He plays the Secretary of the State to Obama.
I 100% bet that Adam Driver was a perfect pick for that, being a former Marine.
Being a former Marine.
If you watch that TED Talk, he'll talk about how like he being in the military is like it's like a type of family. It's a type of experience that you have where you grow close to these people under this idea that you're soldiers. You're people who are just given orders and you follow those orders. And so he talks about how when he was released or like he got into right before he was going to get deployed to Afghanistan, he had a really bad accident. And so he was honorably discharged or medically or whatever it is, but he didn't go. He left the military, and then he was like, I was like, what do I like? What do I do? Like, nobody's here to tell me what. Like,
this is what I was going to do.
Yeah, and it's like there is something about the military which claims your entire identity because and he says that this is the lesson of being in the military, of going through basic training. And I know someone who actually just went through basic training and advanced intensive training. But he told me this too. The idea is that you don't leave your brothers behind. Like, you don't leave your friends behind. You like, everything you do is to keep as many American soldiers as you can safe. And so like with
many Americans, period.
As many Americans, period. And so like with that understanding, like you have to operate at all times as a unit. One person fucked up, you all fucked up. If like one person like does great, then everybody did great. Like there's no individual identity. And so then he leaves the military, is thrust back into the real world where individual identity is everything, especially in this day and age. And
especially when he chose the career path
exactly.
he did. He became an actor.
Well, the weird thing was he didn't he was never really into you should watch it.
We'll talk about him more later.
Yeah, Adam Driver, interesting story though.
He's
but
fucking amazing.
I bet he had interesting insight into that movie because there's a real thing of just being told what to do and doing it no matter what you were actually doing.
Oh yeah, and like there's a lot of psychology behind that, like psychology studies that say like people are likely to just blindly follow orders.
Oh yeah,
like you can tell them to do things, and they'll do them. They'll
just yeah.
It's weird. It's
weird.
Crazy.
It is weird.
But yeah, The Report, also a very, very good movie. We want to talk about some Marvel movies?
Yeah, we need to do Marvel. Far From Home.
Man, this episode is going to be longer than the music one.
I mean, it makes sense, kind of.
I mean, there's more movies.
Movies are longer.
Movies are longer. We're talking about them for a long time too. We are not taking it easy. I like it. I'm having fun.
We had Avengers Endgame, Spider-Man Far From Home, Captain Marvel. I think
those were the 2019 Marvel movies. Let's start with Captain Marvel.
I actually didn't see that one. So
all right, I'll start with Captain Marvel. One of my favorite solo movies. Which is funny. You could literally pick out pretty much any solo movie, and I'll probably tell you one of my favorite solo movies.
they're good.
I mean, they're all good. And
Iron Man 2 was great.
Iron Man 2, for sure. I mean, and
I was watching that again the other day, and I was kind of like, I definitely see.
And it's definitely not any solo movie.
Yeah,
like I'm saying, but Captain Marvel, I love Brie Larson as Captain Marvel. She makes perfect sense. I love the relationship she has with her best friend in that movie. I love the relationship she has with Nick Fury in that movie. I mean, everything about that movie just it makes sense to who her character is.
Yeah,
and it's really one of the more compelling stories in the Marvel Cinematic Universe for a solo story.
It had to be, considering how she played in Endgame.
Oh yeah, I mean, like she's the savior. Like she's the most powerful person in the universe. I felt
like I missed out on a lot of just her appearance in that movie from not seeing Captain Marvel, which I did 100%. But the way that she comes in and they're just like you can tell they're kind of like, can we get Captain, like, bro, we're facing Thanos. Can we get Captain Marvel? And
they're like, yo, like, she can do anything.
Yeah. And they're like, no, she's off doing other shit. And
yeah, like she's got a whole universe to protect.
They're like,
we're just protecting Earth.
They're like, but yo, like, we just fucked up, and now, like, Thanos from hit prime time is back at us. Like,
Thanos from back in 14's coming.
Yeah.
And he's trying to fuck us up, man.
And he did not give a fuck back in 14.
He never gave a fuck.
He never gave a fuck.
In 2019, he killed his daughter.
God damn. That shit, Thanos.
Or in 2018, whatever the fuck.
Thanos drove the Infinity Saga.
100%. He's the Palpatine of the Infinity Saga.
And from the moment that you see Thanos' face at the end of the first Avengers,
do we see? We see him during Avengers. I'm pretty sure. We get one scene where he's sitting on his throne.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking of.
Yeah.
But I remember seeing that for the first time and being like, where the fuck are they going? Because, like, this is some deep space shit. And where they were in 2012 was some real, just
on Earth
superhero on Earth type
and,
shit.
like, they had aliens invade.
They had Thor. And they had Asgard. And it felt like they were doing, like, fantasy, but they weren't really doing, like, science fiction.
Yeah.
And then, obviously, they're doing science fiction. It's superhero. But,
absolutely.
Just the fact that, like, within 8 years, like, you just see them really start to go in on this. Hey, you know, Marvel, we're gonna take it to space because that's where the comics go. That's what this is based on.
I love the universe so much. It's so much fun.
Yeah, Thanos somehow managed to drive that entire story for as little as he was involved in the story until
Infinity War.
Infinity Ring.
But let's just go ahead and segue into Endgame then.
Endgame was the best finale I've seen for a movie franchise, straight up.
I mean, dude, it was my childhood ending. End of Innocence.
Yeah.
I'm done. I'm a grown up now.
Yeah, I'm
like, I have officially grown.
Felt like. And I remember going to see it, and I actually got to see it on I wasn't going to see it for a couple weeks, and then someone just gave me some tickets. And then I was like, oh, shit. So I went and saw it, and, like, I was, like, at the end of it, I was like,
I'm not okay.
I'm deeply sad.
I am deeply depressed.
Yeah.
Like, and there's a lot of reasoning behind that. But it can be because you attached to this when you were 13 and now it's over and you're like, man, I really haven't been happy since I was 13. I've just been watching Marvel and Star Wars.
And listening to J. Cole.
That are true.
Did you see that tweet about, like, no, you're not,
No, it's not that Christmas doesn't feel like Christmas anymore. It's that you haven't been happy since you were 12. Yeah.
Yo.
Yeah, I've seen that.
That shit.
I was like, shot me in the chest 3 times. But Avengers Endgame was amazing. And it's everything you wanted.
Yeah.
And in a way that you did not see coming.
It's everything you wanted and that you didn't want.
It's everything you wanted and you didn't know you wanted.
Yeah. Okay, so the song just transitioned to East by Earl, and I just immediately thought of the meme of when it was like, when the hose is around and East comes up next on shuffle. Because just like the first 5 seconds of that song, I'm not gonna lie, the first time I heard it I was like, bro, Earl, what are you doing?
I was like, what's this Pirate Ahoy ass shit?
Anyways, back to what we were saying.
Endgame, I mean, it's everything you didn't know you want.
Yeah.
Like the time traveling sequences
I
going in, I was like, huh.
Yeah, me too.
I was like, so we're gonna do time travel here. Mm-hmm. And I was like, okay, I guess that's the only way it could have got done. That's fair.
Yeah.
You're going to go back in time to get half the universe back. That makes sense.
But I just really didn't see it coming, and it felt like, what else had been doing time travel? there's something else that's big that was working with time travel.
I mean, you watched The Flash a lot.
The Flash, that's what it was.
Yeah.
That's why you go. I mean, you watched The Flash a lot. Yeah.
Like it literally could have been any season of Flash that you were watching at that time.
No, it did. It could have, but like as soon as I saw the time travel trope, and this is completely my fault, and I'm not blaming this on the movie, but it just kind of seemed unoriginal, and then especially because they literally introduce and execute the idea in one movie. Like we're talking about time travel. Like shit's not. I mean,
I love the way, and what I like is that they were honest about the way it happened.
Yeah.
Like Tony Stark accidentally figures it out.
Yeah. Right.
Which is the way it had to happen. That man couldn't dedicate himself and figure that shit out in one movie.
Exactly.
Like,
exactly.
Like he was like, all right, do this, 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 and this, and it was like, model successful, and he's like, holy fucking shit! Like he's like, holy shit, I can time travel now.
I can time travel.
Can you imagine?
Yo.
Like creating something dumb luck. It's just like, yo, this is gonna work now.
We've never really studied, and for good reason because it doesn't exist, but we've never really studied what the implications of discovering time travel could be on just our understanding of just
the universe.
The universe. Like the fact that we realize we can jump into time and exit it, which I don't really think is possible physically, but just like that idea is already such a big one. Like that reshapes how you think of everything.
Yeah, and
because
it's definitely interesting to think about. But let's focus on the end game.
Yeah. No, well, I'm trying to, because I'm saying like that's what made it seem disingenuous when they introduced time travel so quickly and execute it, and then even fuck up during it, but still find a way to fix it, and then end up and then obviously they end up causing all the other shit happens that causes Thanos to come back.
Yeah.
And that's just the thing when you mess with time messes back.
Time messes back. Yeah.
But
otherwise, it was like foolproof.
Yeah.
Like the shit they did fuck up, you were like, oh damn, how they gonna fix this? And then they fixed it, and you're like, okay. Like, that is how you would fix that. Like, and I definitely did not see that coming.
Yeah, exactly. And so when I saw it the second time in theaters, I 100% appreciated it so much more, because I was like, it's just it's what they're using to figure out how to get these people back together.
Absolutely.
Because you have to factor in that this happens 5 years after Infinity War.
Mm-hmm.
Like literally all these people have been like, obviously they time travel and reset everything, but they have been alive for 5 years, existing for 5 years, with just half the world fucking gone. Just one day they disappeared. Like, can you imagine? Like,
bro.
Bruh.
If half of all people were just fucking gone? What?
I don't even, like, do you know how many people would just off themselves?
And that's what I also loved about Endgame, is they realistically showed how our planet, us as humans, would handle half the population getting wiped out. And I do, because like Thanos talks to Gamora, and he's like, what I did for your home planet, they thrive now.
Yeah.
Like they know how it happened. It's history now. But what happened was necessary to get them where they are. With us, with humans, the way I think it would go, we'd fold.
Yeah.
5 years later, they showed us the world looked like it was in like partial ruins.
Oh yeah.
People stopped giving a shit, because it was like, if half of us can just go away like that, what's the fucking point? And I can't blame anybody for that. Like, if that shit happened, I'd be like,
yeah. And
well,
that's kind of where God, I'm wanting to say that real Chris Evans and Scarlett Johansson, where their characters were in the movie, because like they're kind of both just like,
man, we got to do something. But like, what do we do?
What do we do? And they're just like, yo, we really been in this since the beginning. Like, and that was so dope to see. Like, it was just so cool to see them talk, because like they had
I loved their friendship.
There's no reason why I should have not expected to see something romantic happen with them, but you always knew nothing was going, like,
they were just so friendly. Like, that's just, and I love the way that their relationship was flirty as hell, and they both knew it.
Yeah,
and it was fun for them. And I love that they portrayed that in that movie, because that's realistic. People have those relationships.
Oh yeah. Have you seen Winter Soldier recently?
Yeah.
Yeah, I watched Winter Soldier again.
I've
like
seen
2
all
weeks
of
ago.
them recently.
Yeah, and Winter Soldier. That's what that movie is about. Like,
it's their relationship.
It's their relationship. And I was like watching that movie again and being like, God, this is such a good friendship. Like,
I love the way that Steve Rogers talks to Bruce Banner about it. He's like, "Yo, you gonna do something about that?" And he's like, "What are you talking about?" He's like, "Oh, she's flirting." Like, she's like, "Oh, she's into you," and he was like, "Nah, she's just flirting." And he's like, "Nah, I've seen her flirting up close and personal. She's into you."
Yeah.
And he's like, "Okay." And then he walks away. And he's like, "What do you mean up close and personal?" And like, bro, that's all they did. They flirted all the time.
No, that's all they did, and like they were both just okay with it. And then once it ended, and they moved.
I fucking loved their
It's
relationship.
Those dopes, yeah.
But when they go back in time and they show the iconic shot of the Avengers all circled up, I was like, oh, fuck yeah. Like, we are really, like, they went to all places we've seen.
It felt, so that's kind of what it seemed like they did a better job of in Endgame than
Rise of
Star Wars.
Skywalker, yeah.
It was walk you back through the history of the franchise.
Absolutely.
Because, like, in Endgame watching it, it felt just uber nostalgic. But they did it. They literally did it. They invented time travel so they can go back to these explicit moments which we have seen on screen before and recreate moments outside of them to get,
And the argument I make there is that Rise of Skywalker could have been every bit as good if they would have been 3 hours.
Yeah.
If that would have had a 3-hour runtime and everything could have been explained more,
I think so,
I
too.
think it would have been the best Star Wars movie.
And people are really wary of making movies that long, but I think Endgame has proved.
Yo, if you are a Star Wars movie, if you are a Marvel movie,
if you're a Disney franchise and you have the money to do it, do it.
Do it. Because we will watch it.
Yeah, exactly. It's that simple because it's like to be invested in a story, or to watch a movie that long, you just have to be invested in the story. Mm-hmm. Star Wars and Avengers, we already know people are invested in those stories. Like,
absolutely. They have been forever.
Like, as soon as you introduce the idea for an Avengers movie, you're like, oh yeah, we're gonna make some money. Like, it's Avengers.
$1 billion type money.
It's Disney.
$1 billion. I don't think people really grasp how fucking crazy it is that this movie made $1 billion fucking dollars.
They said Avatar 2 is trying to reclaim the spot or something.
Bro, okay, like,
bro,
and not in America.
Nobody's
America domestically, that movie didn't do great. It was China that made that movie fucking huge. So I do believe Avatar 2 could break the record.
Okay,
it just wouldn't be here.
Yeah, because I was like, I saw Avatar when it came out.
It ain't that. Like,
but
it ain't
I was
all
like,
that.
I don't even remember why I watched it, and I remember when I left, I was like, why did I watch that? And then I remember hearing about it years later, and I'm like, why are people talking about that movie?
There's an episode of BoJack Horseman where Todd Chavez and Mr. Peanut Butter accidentally lose all of the nominations for the Oscars. So they have to come up with all new nominees, and they're like, I don't know, we could put Avatar on there. That came out this year, right? And it's like Avatar's from like 2009. This season was like 2016.
Yeah.
It's like Avatar, that came out this year, right? I feel like I always hear about that movie. I've never actually seen it though.
Yeah.
I feel like people are always talking about
Wasn't
it.
that?
I saw it once forever ago,
Me
and
too.
like I enjoyed it. It's a solid movie.
I enjoyed it. I enjoyed it, but I remember thinking at 8 years old, this shit's too long.
Mm-hmm.
Like I was just like, man, this shit's like, I've been in here a while. I remember explicitly because that experience, somehow I'd snuck a 2-liter into the theater.
You were so proud.
I had this big ass coat.
You were just like, fuck yeah.
Me and my brother, we just sitting there, like, we had a ton of candy. We just like sat in the front row of Avatar,
Fucking tossing shit up in the air, catching it with your mouths.
and the screen was just fucking anyways. Weird.
Endgame.
Endgame. Endgame was a great movie. I think it's
such a big movie with so many characters that we can't even really talk in depth about it without it being as long an episode as it is a movie. Like,
yeah, exactly. You want to get into Spider-Man?
Spider-Man Far From Home, maybe the actual best solo movie besides like Captain America Winter Soldier.
As soon as I watched that, I immediately was like,
I love this movie. We saw that in theaters too. We saw a bunch of movies in theaters this year.
Yeah, we did. Hey, we got
good for us, man.
We got to do even more.
Oh, for sure.
Honestly,
I love it. That's like my favorite thing that we do now.
Yeah,
is go see movies.
Yeah.
We're going to see Uncut Gems tomorrow, which we will add at the end of this segment.
Which we will. damn, I forgot we were gonna see that movie's gonna be.
Fuck
good.
yeah.
Spider-Man: Far From Home was a Spider-Man movie, and I was really perturbed by it at first because I was like, how you gonna have a Spider-Man movie that's not
in New York?
Like, come on now, like. What
and they did it. They did well. They were all over the place. They were in Rome, or maybe Venice. I can't remember. Somewhere in Italy. Mm-hmm. Then they were in Prague. They were gonna go to Paris. They didn't end up doing that. It was they were in London at the end. Mm-hmm. Like they were all over the place.
Starting with fucking Ray, like You know where I was gonna say.
I thought so. I think so. What were you gonna say? I don't really know where that was.
I said starting with Rey Mysterio. That's what I was
saying. Rey Mysterio.
One, I think because Rey was in my head. Two,
yeah.
Because
Mysterio is the villain. Booyaka, booyaka! 61919.
Rey Mysterio's a completely different person. That's wild though. 2 movies came out with Rey
and Mysterio.
Rey Mysterio made his comeback.
Anyway. He actually is right now. not like a not important to this episode at all, but like Rey Mysterio is back in the WWE.
Yo, that dude was wrestling.
That man saw the Rise of Skywalker come out after Spider-Man: Far From Home, and he was like, Rey Mysterio. Everyone's gonna be thinking about it.
Perfect time to make some money. Booyaka, booyaka,
booyaka, booyaka. All right, moving on from Rey Mysterio.
But the storyline with Mysterio and just all the different misdirects with that story was phenomenal.
They did a much better job of the misdirection in this movie than they did in the Rise of Skywalker.
This is basically Marvel's franchise being like, hey, Star Wars, get like us.
Kind of.
Another side note, because fuck it, I think this is my second favorite from the album. So Caught Up from the Teskey Brothers.
I'm so caught up.
Yo, Teskey Brothers, if you haven't heard of them.
I'm so caught up on.
Thor
caught the Soul Stone. Thor got the Soul Stone.
Literally the other week or the other day, I think we were gonna record, and then we heard this Twitter snippet of one of the Teskey Brothers singing. So then we just stopped and just listened to the album.
The entire album.
Like it was so good.
It was glorious.
Check them out.
Moving on.
Marvel is just doing everything Star Wars wants to.
And it's hard to say that because they are such different stories.
Yeah, it's true. But I wonder if that's because just developmentally with the stories, Marvel just had 23 movies,
not 9.
Compared to 9.
Yeah.
Which were made at different points over the past like 50
77
years.
to 83, 99 to 04, 15 to 19. These are way different time periods.
Yeah. But in this, I probably should have said this in Star Wars, but if they continue to do the Star Wars like they're doing, they could have something really special on their hands, because just like you said, 77 to 80, what? 83. 77 to 83, and then 99 to 04, and now they have 2015 to 2019.
Yeah, and presumably it's going to be a lot more frequently coming up.
I don't know if it should be, though, because
I don't think they should continue one main trilogy story right now.
Yeah.
I feel like they should wait.
Yeah.
Give me 5 years.
I like that.
Give me give me the Star Wars stories.
Yeah.
Like Solo, Rogue One, that type shit.
Yeah,
one-offs.
That type shit is good. But I like that they put the trilogies so close together, though, because it's like when people watch one of those Star Wars trilogy movies, they want to see the next one. Like even like nobody like The Force Awakens. I feel like that movie was successful purely because of hype. Like people now totally disregard that movie. Like nobody talks about the Force Awakens. But when that movie came out, it was the thing.
It was the biggest movie that had ever came out.
It was so huge, and I remember being like, "Fuck!" But that was our first. Well, I guess not our first time, but our first time in memory being able to live through Star Wars movies releasing, and that hype is like. That
was like, I can't express to you how special that was. That alone was
worth it. It made everything worth it, and I was like, "This is great to just watch these movies come out and see everyone go crazy and love it.
And that's also why I love Marvel.
Yeah,
because
exactly.
this has been something that I've loved. Like, this is something that I consider fucking mine.
Yeah.
Like, I love this shit.
Exactly.
And I, like, obviously, I don't consider mine. I know everybody fucking loves Marvel. There's nobody out here who's like... It means
something to everyone.
Yeah,
so
like
everyone who watches these movies and internalizes them, like, it means something after a while. And that's why Endgame is such an emotional movie.
Absolutely.
And that's why, honestly, when they were about to take Spidey out of the MCU... That would have thrown the when I heard that news, I was like, "Yo, you're gonna fuck up the entire
thing
universe." Like,
because Spidey is being groomed to be that guy.
And even before they introduced him, everyone's like, "God, but they don't got Spider-Man. But they don't got Spider-Man. They gotta get Spider-Man because that at that point, or when the Marvel franchise starts up, like Star Wars or Spider-Man has already been like." We've seen the trilogy, and then we're like, well, they fucked it up. They're not doing Star Wars again. They did Andrew Garfield. Everyone's like, fuck that guy. And then, we're just waiting for it to happen in MCU. Then it happens.
It did.
And then
it did.
Iron Man dies. And then Captain America gets old. And then they're starting a new phase of shit. And then they're going to take Spidey out.
Absolutely not.
People were up in arms. Like,
and Disney used that shit as a tactic.
No.
They were like, fine. They were like, fine. Keep Spidey. They're like, fine then. You hold on to Spidey.
It's genius.
And then everyone was like, fuck Spider-Man. We're not Sony. Fuck Sony. We're not watching Spider-Man ever again. Yeah. Fuck that shit. And they were like, fine, take it, Disney, take it.
And I wonder if they knew about their potentiality of losing Spider-Man after Far From Home, and if that's why they did what they did at the end of Far From Home. Because you can't watch the end of Far From Home and not be like, yo, what's gonna happen next?
You might be right.
You cannot. Like, that was one of the best cliffhangers that I think Marvel has done.
Oh, by far. And it's one of the only true cliffhangers it's done. Because that movie ends, and for the first time I can ever remember in any Marvel movie, I go, what the fuck?
But yeah. You're just like, holy shit! Like,
I was like, yo, like the movie ended on a high note. Yeah, obviously,
it did. Swinging through with MJ.
End credits. You go, everything's going to shit. Whoa. Everything's gone.
Yeah,
it's all dead.
It's all dead.
Execute it all.
You're just like, what the fuck? And I just remember being like, yo, I cannot wait for the next Spidey movie.
Yo, I remember when we saw that in theaters and we had that, like, dripping seats, the ceiling dripping next to us.
Oh, that was weird.
That was so weird. I was scared shitless during that.
It took me a good 20 minutes to figure out where that was coming from.
I know.
I'm just like, yo, this is bothering the... Who the fuck is in here? Like,
yeah. All right. But anyway, sorry. That end of the movie where Mysterio's like, Spider-Man, he just turned on me. He attacked me. Spider-Man's real name is... Video cuts on, and you're like, Spider-Man's real name is Peter Parker. What?
Yeah.
And then Peter Parker goes, what the fuck? And then the movie ends.
Yeah.
And I'm like,
I was like, this is Spider-Man. Like, this is what I want from a Spider-Man movie. And, like, just, like, them showing through the city and, like, they've developed the Spider-Man character, I feel like, starting with Tobey Maguire to reach its pinnacle with
Tom Holland.
Tom Holland, yeah.
Absolutely.
It was his role. Honestly, I was a little upset that... and it's weird because they definitely show homage to him in the Spider-Man game. I'm going to talk about this just because I'm playing it right now. It's
Go for
fucking
it.
good.
Go for it.
It feels
it's a connection. It's Spider-Man.
It feels like it's Tom Holland Spider-Man. Like, it's a different person, but it feels like it's Tom Holland Spider-Man when he gets to be 26.
Mm-hmm.
Because, like, he's obviously really progressed into his adventures there. But, like, he has, like, and, like, just speaking directly off of what's, like, in the movies is, like, they really portray him as, like, this guy who, and he's always been like this, but he's, like, a kid. He's just a kid at heart who's, like, out to do the right thing.
Yeah,
and I feel like 15-year-old Tom Holland does that perfectly because, like...
And he had way too much pressure on him.
Yeah.
As Peter Parker.
From the first moment of him popping up in Civil War and just being thrust into this conflict with all the people that he's idolized and having to fight Captain America, he's like, what? I
love the conversation that Captain America and Spider-Man have during Civil War.
Oh, yeah.
Where they're like fighting. He's like, you're a good kid, man.
Yeah.
And he's like, where are you from? And he's like, where's Spider?
Queens.
Queens. And he's like, Brooklyn. I was like, fuck yeah. Like y'all are just some kids from New York. Yeah, like, that's
exactly.
dope.
That is so dope. And like that's what I feel like the Spider-Man character is. He is the next generation of Marvel. He is perpetually what the Avengers terminates with, because if you read the comics, like all of the Avengers stories obviously start with Captain America, Iron Man,
yeah.
But they end up with Spider-Man being the person who
inherits it,
yeah, and he's the perfect person for that. And the way that they're building that up with the Marvel movie franchise,
bro, that shit where they're on the plane and he's going to build his own suit, and it's literally a scene out of an Iron Man movie.
I was like,
and that fucked me up.
I got that vibe so like
multiple times.
They did this on purpose, like.
The way Happy was just looking at him when he put his hand in the hologram shit, I was like, "Yo, you've literally seen Tony Stark do that thousands of times." And then Happy's just looking at him. He's like, "What?" And he's like, "Nothing." And I'm like, "Oh," I was like, "Fuck me."
And this is why the Marvel movies are so good. It's because you see that and you're just like, man, fuck.
I love this shit.
I love this shit,
man. And like, I'm such a sucker for it. Like,
I am, yeah.
And I'll watch everything Marvel puts out forever. I'll watch everything Star Wars puts out forever. Like, it's my life now.
It's my life now.
Like, that's where I'm
like,
at.
I can't imagine living without it.
And
when
like,
people tell me they don't watch Marvel or they don't watch Star, I'm like,
what do you watch?
Or people tell me that they don't listen to Frank Ocean. I'm like,
here's the thing. There are things that are pillars,
yes,
of culture. Star Wars, Marvel, two of those pillars.
Yes,
for sure.
Yeah.
If you don't do that, if you knock those pillars down, you don't even realize those pillars are fucking there.
Yeah.
The integrity of everything you know is flawed.
The integrity of everything you know. There you go. Marvel and Star Wars. That's the integral point of knowledge. Like, if you understand Marvel and Star Wars and their complex as, convoluted as, long ass storylines, you can understand anything.
Well, what's good about both of them is they are not teaching real lessons. They are portraying real things.
Yeah.
In the most ludicrous way possible.
Yeah.
Like, way out there, way crazy.
Yeah. That's just kind of the intention.
But they still make it about human things.
Yeah.
It's about human triumph. It's about the victory of your family. It's about just coming together to succeed.
Yeah. It always is, yeah.
And, like, doesn't matter how often it happens. Yeah. That story's told all the time. Yeah. I know.
But
I know that the good guy's gonna win.
Yeah, you can do it in good and creative ways. 100%.
I know that the good guy's gonna win. It doesn't fucking matter.
Yeah. It's one of the first realizations you have growing up is just, honestly, the good guys, they win.
That's another thing. Like, the entire time I was watching The Rise of Skywalker, like, going into it, I was like, oh, it would be so cool to see Rey turn dark.
Yeah.
We were getting closer and closer to it, like her going dark, and I was like, please don't do it. Please don't go dark. Like, please don't do it. And that's when I realized, like, it doesn't matter how good this movie could be.
Yeah.
I want my light side to win.
Yeah.
Because that's what it is. Like, that's what makes you happy about these movies. Yeah. That's why you watch them.
Yeah.
And that's what all the Marvel movies do so well, except Infinity War, obviously, but that's obviously the first part of a two-part movie.
Yeah, and people weren't really, they're like,
And you knew in Infinity War, like, this wasn't it.
Yeah, it was part one, explicitly. Yeah. But man, the Marvel Cinematic Universe is gonna go down in history as one of the most expansive projects ever undertaken in cinema. And I think because of that, and because of our opportunity to get to experience it, it just has to hold a special place.
Absolutely. And there were a bunch of other movies, but since we're 2 hours and 15 minutes in, I'm just going to list them for you. You should watch them. I think they're solid. There's a lot on this list. It's not necessarily you should watch, but these were all very big deals. Booksmart, very good movie. Kind of a soul sequel to Superbad, but it's about two girls instead of two guys.
What's it on?
Hulu.
Booksmart. You said it's a soul sequel to.
It feels like a soul sequel to Superbad.
Okay. Okay.
Like it's the same type of comedy. It's about two chicks this time. Toy Story 4, big deal, huge deal. Lion King, huge deal. Like Aladdin, big deal. All these Disney movies, you know them. Yeah. John Wick 3, definitely watch it.
Definitely huge.
Definitely watch it. Midsommar, big deal for a horror movie. Hustlers.
Midsommar was a horror movie?
That's what I heard.
Did you watch Midsommar?
I never got around to it.
Yeah.
I'm just not a huge fan of horror movies.
That wasn't the movie with the people on shrooms, was it?
I have no fucking idea.
Yeah, but keep going.
Hustlers, that was a big deal. Ad Astra with Brad Pitt. Critically supposed to be a very good movie. Detective Pikachu, very fun fucking movie. I didn't expect to like it at all. I've never had any interest in Pokemon. This shit was funny. I liked it. Godzilla, King of Monsters, big fucking deal. I've heard it was beautiful to watch on screen.
Really?
I never got to see it. I want to see it because I've heard visually it's breathtaking.
Damn.
El Camino, one we didn't talk about very much.
Yes, but it wasn't really. I don't think it was. Meant to be talked about.
There's not much to talk about. Yeah,
it was something, and this is in the vein of Skywalker and Marvel, but it was just really something that people wanted. They wanted to see a little bit of what happened after the ending of Breaking Bad, and this movie just was giving that. And people didn't like it because it wasn't Breaking Bad, but it was never meant to be Breaking Bad.
Absolutely.
It was El Camino. It was a movie about what happened to Jesse Pinkman immediately following the events of Breaking Bad. And in that sense, it was very satisfying.
It accomplished exactly what I thought it would.
It gave me I wanted the vibe of Breaking Bad. That's literally what I wanted to feel again. I wanted to watch Breaking Bad that I hadn't watched before, and feel like I'm watching Breaking Bad.
And you did. It felt like a movie version of Breaking Bad.
Like literally, when I watched that, I remember I woke up one Saturday and I was like, "Oh shit, El Camino just came out," and I was like, "I'm gonna go get high and watch it." So I did that, and I was in heaven.
That was just it for me.
Yeah, and I just 5 minutes in, I'm like, "Oh yeah, this is Breaking Bad. I'm gonna love it." Like
absolutely.
And the story was pretty drab. I'm not gonna lie, but the movie was great.
Some other ones for Netflix originals, you had El Camino, Dilemity Is My Name with Eddie Murphy.
Yeah.
And a rom-com on this list I have is Always Be My Maybe. That's a really fun movie. It's got Randall Park and Ali Wong in it. I loved it. One of my favorite rom-coms in forever, and I'm a sucker for a rom-com. I love me some of them shits. But Always Be My Maybe was solid, and Keanu Reeves is in it, so it's even better automatically. The King, Long Shot with Seth Rogen and Charlize Theron, big deal. Men in Black International.
Heard that was shit.
I went and saw it in theaters. And, I mean, it wasn't a great movie by any means.
I mean, you never told me to go watch it, so.
And I wouldn't exactly suggest you go watch it. If it's on, sure, watch it. Like, it's a fun movie. Like, I enjoyed watching it. But it wasn't great.
I can't really see Men in Black without Will and, what's his name?
Yeah.
You know what I'm talking about.
I know you're talking about. I'm very, very, very disappointed in myself for not being able to remember the name.
Me too. I'm so upset.
I am so disappointed in myself.
This person...
Because like this
Billy? No.
You're right there though. I know.
God.
Tommy Lee Jones. Tommy Lee fucking Jones. How did I forget that?
Okay, but it's Tommy Lee. Like, think about like how generic that name is. That's why I said Billy.
Yeah, but like, it's Tommy Lee Jones.
It's Tommy Lee Jones. That's fair. Tommy Lee Jones, though. That dude.
Solid actor. And I mean, there's a ton of movies this year. It was a good year.
Tommy Lee Jones was in a movie this year, wasn't he?
Was he?
I swear I saw him.
I feel like I saw his face very recently.
I saw his face in theaters. I swear I did.
I'll look it up. And see. We'll look it up live on air. Right here. Right now.
Live on
I'm just going to talk. I'm going to talk and talk so that you can't tell I'm looking something up.
If you're listening over 2 hours and 15 minutes in, like, yo.
Yo, respect. He was in Ad Astra.
Oh, okay.
With Brad Pitt. But yeah.
I saw him in a commercial for that movie.
I did too. Yep. I know exactly when I saw him now.
Exactly where I saw him now.
Yeah, but you want to quickly do our best actors, best actresses?
Yeah, sure. All
right, so first, actor, Adam Driver.
Yeah.
I mean, I think he had 4 movies under his belt this year. He had Rise of Skywalker as Kylo Ren / Ben Solo. He had The Report. He had Marriage Story, and he had The Dead Don't Die. Mm-hmm. I've seen 3 of those movies, and I sure as hell heard about all 4. Like, if you can be the main character in 4 different movies in the same year, and I heard at least about all of them, like on TV, like commercials, like this shit was big. These were big deals. Like it wasn't just some independent films he was doing. And I don't want to. I don't want to shit on independent films. A lot of them are really fucking good.
No,
I love indie films. Like, they're fun as fuck. But these were like huge movies, except for like The Report, which was an Amazon Prime original. If you were on Amazon Prime, you heard about this movie.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, Adam Driver is just the shit.
Adam Driver is the shit.
And he seems like he's a direct descendant of our next guy.
Yeah, Mr. Keanu, the guy.
Dad.
Yeah, dad.
Father.
Yeah, we all pray to Keanu Reeves, but he also made our list for best actors of 2019 because, well, he couldn't not.
Dude, I mean, just think about the 2019 he had. The revival of Keanu Reeves.
John Wick. He has a game.
Cyberpunk 2077.
Yeah.
I'm going to play the shit out of that just because Keanu's in it.
Oh, 100%. And the shit actually looks
It looks
dope.
fun as fuck.
Like, to be able to just be Keanu Reeves or think I'm Keanu Reeves. Like,
Oh, yeah, like, I'm Keanu Reeves here. It doesn't matter what this character's name is. It's Keanu Reeves in 2077 with a mechanical arm.
Okay, no, come on. Like, how could you not? But anyways, Keanu Reeves, the GOAT, and Adam Driver had very great years.
Very, very great.
So now on our actresses list.
I mean, we got ScarJo. She had an undeniably good year.
And Tessa Thompson.
Tessa Thompson did good. Tessa Thompson did really good because she had Men in Black. She had a couple others. She was a voice in something. I can't remember what it was though. But yeah, and she was in Endgame as Valkyrie. So Tessa Thompson had a very good year. Scarlett Johansson also had Endgame. She also had Marriage Story.
Yeah.
Those are great movies right there. There's actually a very underrated actress, in my opinion, who I think deserves a mention, and that's Florence Pugh. I think that's how you pronounce her name. She's in the Little Women movie that's coming out right now. She's also in a movie from this year called Fighting with Family, which was about a WWE wrestler, a chick whose stage name is Paige. It's fun as fuck to watch. I really enjoyed it. Also was in Midsommar. Like, that's a good year.
That is good.
Little Women, Midsommar, and Fighting with Family. Like, those were all some pretty big movies.
That's true.
It was a solid year.
Solid year for film.
Much
Much better than music, I will say.
For sure, I agree.
Hence the recording time on these podcasts.
Yeah, and we had to cut this down. We rushed the shit out of the last 10 minutes of this.
Yeah. No,
or 5, whatever. Because I could have kept talking. This could have been a 2-part episode, for sure.
We didn't think very much ahead in that regard. I mean, we
Not
kind
at
of underestimate,
So, we're going to go see Uncut Gems tomorrow. We might add that. We might just do a whole separate thing about it.
Yeah.
Probably that.
Yeah.
But Uncut Gems is supposed to be one of the best movies of 2019. So
it looks like it.
It looks really good.
I haven't. Adam Sandler I love, but only for his comedy. Well, I've only known him for his comedy.
I'm interested in what this is going to be.
And so I showed my mom the trailer, and she's like, "Oh, is Adam Sandler doing serious movies again?" And I was like, "Oh shit, I guess he probably has."
He has done a few. He's had a few serious movies.
I've never seen him not be a complete jokester in a movie though. And this one is especially going to be good, I think, because from what I can tell of the previews, he's going to be like that, like cheeky, like that dude who's still like funny, but still it's a serious movie.
It's a serious funny.
Dude. He's dealing with serious things, but he's just kind of cheeky, and like that's, I feel like where Adam Sandler is
that's where he shines, bro.
When he's just like saying some like backhanded bullshit, and it's just hilarious.
Like, I can't wait for him to call Kevin Garnett like a bald motherfucker or something. Like say some shit like that, and I'm in.
Yeah.
But this has been episode 31 of the Penny Bloom Podcast. Year in review, 2019 in review, movies. Shit was good.
2019.
Share it with your friends. Rate, review. I hope you liked it, because I fucking liked it. That was fun. That was a good conversation.
That was a good conversation for sure.
It didn't help that our intro was 15 minutes. That's why our episode. That's part of why our episode. That was a good one too, though. Oh, it was a great intro.
Drugs. What a great segue into movies.
I don't know how it happened, but it happened. So, thanks for coming out. Peace, love, and bloom. Praise Keanu Reeves, our Father.
The God.
The God.
Bye.